Hello and a very warm welcome for the final time this season. It is the grand finale of the E1 Championship 2022. My name is Adam Carruthers. I'm sat alongside the race director, Alex Jung. Yep. And everything has been organized by Axel Sports, EGG and Astro, supported by the Motorsports Association of Malaysia, that's MAM for short, and also RaceRoom. We are live, by the way, on Arena plus on Suka, and we're even broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook. So just look up E1 Championship. There should be a share button there, so you can put it into your chat groups and let all of your friends and family know about it. We're also broadcasting in Singapore via Mayo Sports 2, in Vietnam on VTV Cab, Thailand on True Gaming Up, and in Indonesia via TVRI Sports. Hello to all of the viewers, all of our friends across the entire region. Alongside us on the main desk on commentary duty, an infinitely harder job without a doubt. It's Des Corkill and Amir Hazik, also known as Ammo, ready to call the shots throughout the course of the entire race. But let's address the elephant in the room. We were supposed to have the grand finale last week, Alex. We have to send our sincerest apologies to all of the fans and, of course, the drivers and the teams out there that we were unable to finish it, and we're hoping everything's been patched up since.
Absolutely. I mean, we had some connection issues, obviously, last week, so we had to call the race weekend. We kind of muddled through qualifying, but we could see some issues with some of the teams, and we thought maybe it was localized, but it wasn't. Huge connection issues between Asia and Europe, and of course we got a lot of European teams competing. This is almost effectively like a world championship. So it wasn't fair. We had to call the race and stop it and restart it like a completely new weekend or night racing, shall we say, today. Still at the same track, but we've redone the balloting for the grip, for the fuel, and to all intents and purposes, it's the final round now.
Okay, fingers crossed everything goes to plan. We certainly hope so. We want to have a winner by the end of the evening. Now, it has been a few weeks since we've had a full race day. In fact, we were in South America last time we managed to complete a round, which was round 6. Here are the highlights with Des and Ammo.
How close between first and third are, about 800s by 900s, as he has to avoid that. Oh, he couldn't avoid that in time, and that will just send it back to the pits. He might have enough time to get back on track.
He dropped down to P8 as Keatley looks on the inside, and that's a brave maneuver. Kalen Chin tries to take advantage. Keatley aggressive onto the back of Ibrahim. Ibrahim drops down to P5 behind Mohammed Tasmi. Okay, up at the front, Nakib spins and will come under immediate pressure from Stefanko. In fact, Stefanko will take P2 ahead of Nakib Aslam. As we are really, really close and time has run out, and it's going to be Keatley who takes it. Nakib second, and Stefanko had a nightmare scenario to finish in P3. So Mumbai Falcons, they're looking to take no prisoners. They're really going for it.
They're not messing about this. They really want to go for it in this race too, because they want to pick up as many points as possible here so that they could stave off the Williams charge. And look at that. That's evidence of why they're going for it. Immediately, Ibrahim shot to the front of the field with Banky following suit. Nakib here, he manages to get ahead of his brother, and so does Kalen. Kalen dies one here on the inside. So I guess you can simply say that, oh, look at that. That's a similar incident that happened to Ibrahim and Keatley, but it's much worse. Nabil's been sent into the wall. Kalen goes around.
Right, how long will the medium compounds last? Half the race?
1.5 the race, yes. And oh, in he goes, actually spun around, and look who actually went to the back of him that time. It was actually Stefanko.
So Inigo Anton, he spins out and looks forlorn.
Yep, Nakib now onto the back of the Mumbai Falcons, guys. And oh, that's actually Ibrahim going wide, coming into turn 5, and that presented an opportunity for Nakib to go through. That might have been the tires just calling it quits. Nakib is lapping all the way to the start-finish line to take his second win of the season.
Nakib Aslan for Sem 9 takes the victory. He enjoys it ahead of championship leader Ben Spanky. Mohammed Ibrahim plays the team game for P3. So Nakib Aslan making a late charge to try to get into the top stages of the overall championship standings. A 47-point race day for him. Jack Keatley, Martin Stefanko, Ben Spanky, they're the three with a real chance in the overall championship, and they posted good points as well. Ibrahim and Dapper Ardiansa also in the 20s.
what it has done for the Drivers' Championship. However, after Interlagos, and there we go, the drop points are counted. Banky then has one-handed trophy in there since the advantage belongs to him. 17 points coming to the final round ahead of Jack Keithley, with Stefanko for the 8 points behind his teammates. So it's a 25-point gap at the top between the three, with Ibrahim having a very slim chance of trying to overhaul them. But the top four in the championship are well and truly in it coming into the final round.
Thank you, Des and Ammo. I have to ask, the lead that Vence has at the top, how comfortable is he going to be feeling?
Ooh, it's not comfortable, is it? I don't think he'll be feeling. He'll be feeling the pressure. He's definitely feeling the pressure. It's big enough that he doesn't have to do anything silly. He doesn't have to attack. He doesn't have to be super gung-ho into the first corner and end up losing a front wing. So he has to be very controlled. So it's big enough a gap that he can afford a controlled approach. But it's small enough that the pressure is high. If he does lose a rear wing, doesn't finish in the points in race 1, starts from the back of race 2, then he's really under pressure. So he can't afford any mistakes at all, but he also can afford not to be too crazy. So that there is a tiny buffer.
It's not all about the race leader though, the championship leader. No, there's plenty of other drivers out on track. So who's going to be competing today? Des and Ammo, talk all of us through the driver profiles.
Yeah, 11 teams, starting with the defending champions, Team Flash. They're not in the racing this season, but there's been good individual performances from both the Filipino teenager Inigo Anton and Mohammed Tasbi, who's got a race win to his name this season.
And for a team that was competing at the sharp end last season, Black Arts Racing have somewhat gone off the boil a bit for this one. Josh Bowen and Kaylin Chin are known really good drivers in the same racing sphere, but they will love to deliver in this final round.
Same story for Safe House from Korea. We thought Mikko Nassi and Jim Masvilton would be a high-scoring team. It's not really worked that way for Safe House. Mikko has missed a lot of the season. Masvilton hasn't been able to put the wins together.
The team that has maintained their driver lineup for the entire season, one of three to do so, Sam 9 with Naqib Aslan and Nabil Aslan. Both of them have had wins this season. They may not challenge for the championship, but they will love to finish their season in a flourish.
We always welcome Apex E Racing from Brunei, but it's been a tough old season. Both Jake Ten and Ben Seek, the Bruneian and the Kiwi, they're looking to get into the top stages for the first time this season.
While their sister team, Apex Racing Academy, will also love to finish off in a flourish, with Muhammad Zikri carrying a slight injury today. He'll be trying to break through the pain, while Julian Kunze will try to break through into the top 10.
We were all excited when the French team Virtual Drivers TX3 got involved. And it's been a hard season for Mihai Neg, the 23-year-old from Romania, and we haven't seen a lot of Chris Hochfeld from Sweden.
Champions-elect, or they might choke. We'll have to wait and see, but Mumbai Falcons have been the star of the season of the team's championship. They're also fighting for that one, and they have two champions-elect, Muhammad Ibrahim and Benz Banki, in their stable.
One of the stories of the season has been JMX Phantom from Indonesia. Young racers in Daffy Ardianto, the 15-year-old has really impressed in his races so far this season. Russell Reyes has been one of the stars of the campaign.
From Grove in the UK, Williams Esports, one of three real racing teams in this season's championship. Jack Keithley and Martin Stefanko also fighting for both honours in the drivers and teams. One to watch out for after take one. They were actually so agonizingly close.
And representing EGG Network, we've got 10-year-old Axel Knockom. What a brilliant experience from the young Filipino. And for Australia's Dan Finney, he's done pretty well in his 3 races so far this campaign.
Thanks as always, Des and Ammo. I got to ask very quickly, because when it comes to the team championships, it's also incredibly tight at the top. We saw the standings earlier, but in terms of qualifying, only one is going to be able to score points, which is Benz.
Yeah, absolutely, because Muhammad Ibrahim has a qualifying ban for this race because he accumulated too many penalty points over the last 3 rounds. So that's going to be very tricky. While Mumbai Falcons are leading the championship, the team's championship, by a little bit, it's not by a lot. And with Ibrahim missing qualifying, that means he's going to start from the back. So you got to favor Williams, both their drivers scoring some good points in race 1. They have to try and do that, make hay while the sun shines, and maybe they can overtake Mumbai Falcons before race 2 starts.
Why does all this matter? Because there's so many prizes to be given out by the end of the evening. We'll talk you through that in just a moment, because there's plenty more for us to get through, like the race format. Des and Ammo, what can we expect? Where are we exactly today?
Well, we are at the...
Oh, sorry, where the race formatting.
That's right. So 10 minutes for qualifying. And you got points for the top 5 in the qualifying. Then race 1 and race 2. Race 1's 15 minutes, race 2 is 30 minutes, and race 2 is a reverse grid, top 10 are reverse. So you get equal points for both races, and you see that at the bottom right. You get fastest lap, 2 points for fastest lap in each race.
And of course, given how tight it is with the team championship, this is really going to matter in terms of the points accumulation. I know this was mentioned earlier, but just to recap.
Yep, drop points. So every driver had to drop points from its lowest score between rounds 1 to 6. We've already done the drop points. And that just allowed for, because there were a few teams and drivers who had disconnects during the season, so they allowed to have one bad round and still fight for the championship.
Okay, perfect. Now it is properly time to pass it over to Des and Amo for where we are today for the grand finale.
We're all excited, Adam, because we're at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Nino Ferrari, better known as Imola. It's a 4.9-kilometer circuit in the town of Imola in Italy. It's one of the few major international circuits to run anti-clockwise. 19 turns. It's the Grand Prix layout, narrow old-school track, but it's fast and flowing.
Yep, in the beautiful region of Emilia-Romagna, just up the road from Modena. And in the car that we're driving right now, the Formula RaceRoom X22 is quickly becoming a fan favorite and also a driver's favorite, at least the ones who are actually excelling in it. 1.6-litre V6 turbo hybrid engine, 1,050 horsepower, and look at that, no driver aids. This car is a real handful. Back to you, Adam.
Thank you very much there, guys. Now, we mentioned earlier the prize money, so let's break it down. How does it look, firstly, for the driver championship?
Well, you can see that top 10 score cash, you know, so that's very useful. And look at that, 5,000 USD for first, 3 for second, and 2 for third. That's quite handy indeed. So yeah, it's a lot of prize money on offer, and it's not just the drivers. We were talking about it just now. It's the teams championship as well. But we don't do the top 10 teams, we just do the top 5. Still, it's up to the teams to split it which way they want. Most of them, I think, are splitting it between the drivers. 3,000 to win the teams championship. So still handy amount of money, and the total prize pool, 20,000 US dollars.
That is a lot of money. We've been talking about it all season long, and it's all coming down to today. Nobody has become a runner winner. We absolutely love the E1 Championship in 2022, and I'm going to ask also how important qualifying is because of where we are, because of Imola, because how hard overtaking can be.
Yeah, well, you can overtake at Imola. I mean, they have got that one long straight, but because it's only one long straight, it's also quite useful to save your battery for and defend. But you can overtake, but still, it's not as easy to overtake as some of the other tracks we've been to, like Silverstone and Spa. So qualifying is important, and it's very hard to get qualifying right here, because you have these fast sweeping corners that are very narrow with big curbs. So you see the drivers attacking the curbs. If they take a tiny bit too much curb, they'll spit you off into the wall, a bit like Leclerc did in Formula 1 at Imola this year. So it is hard to get qualifying right here, but if you can get it right, then that puts you, you know, in the whole shot.
In that case, what should the strategy be? Because we kind of had a test round last week, so we've been able to glean some information there. What should be the correct approach?
Well, I mean, you gotta practice the qualifying runs. You know, this is not a track where you can come in late and just expect to be quick in qualifying. So I think all the drivers will have done quite a lot of qualifying runs. So I expect qualifying to be very close. Last week we saw Jack looking really good, but I think it's going to be very close, and it's going to be too close to call.
Yeah. Emma, what about your take? Is it going to be too close to call? Are you in agreement with Alex Young here?
Yeah, I think I'll agree with Alex with that on that, Adam, because we saw just last time how in our first dry run of the whole final round, it was close among the top 5, but it was a big gap because Keithley had that lap nailed in so well. So we expect him to be the fastest here. Plus, he's trying to actually chip away the gap at the top between himself and Ben Banky, Adam.
Okay, one final question. I'm going to ask about 7-9. They both can't seem to have a good race day at the same time. It's either one or the other. Could we see them combining finally?
The two brothers, Brothers Grimm, Aslan brothers. Yes, you've seen, we're on board with Nabil right now. He's won one race this year. But the race he won, Nakib had a terrible weekend. Nakib's won two, and both those races he won, Nabil had a terrible round. So it'll be quite interesting to see how well they do. I actually think they're dark horses today. I think they're going to be the cat amongst the pigeons between the Williams and Mumbai Falcons. So you're going to see Mumbai Falcons and Williams looking at each other very closely for the championship. But 7-9, they're not in the hunt for the championship right now, so they're going to be a lot more freer, and they're going to be attacking really hard.
Okay, let's hope Nate didn't hear you call them the Brothers Grimm. Let's pass it over to the commentary team for qualifying, Des and Amo.
Yeah, very much looking forward to this one, Amo. I'll mention it only briefly, but Ben Spanky, of course, we had the aborted race last week where he did so well. How much will that be in his mind today?
Yeah, it will definitely be, as Alex said, he'll have the pressure on him because the first time he was trying to say, okay, let's get that pressure out of the way because it's going to go for the race. But then it's prolonged for another week, so it's definitely going to be in the back of his mind in the session. But prior to that, it's just at the forefront of his mind.
The other thing that Alex was saying, he reckons that the Nabil and Nakib are going to be wild cards here today because they've had a week's extra practice.
Indeed. And I was just going to go conversely to what Alex said about being the cats among the pigeons. Benz is going to be the pigeon among the cats, as a reference to Paul Merson's famous gaffe. It's because he's the guy with the target on his back.
Pigeon amongst the cats, very good. Okay, Ben Spanky, we're on board with him just at the moment. Imola, overtaking opportunities?
Only the front straight, coming out to Tamburello. That's about the most feasible option on this track. Other than that, you really have to go side by side through here in Tosa. Remember I said before, it was Juan Pablo Montoya trying to go around the outside of Michael Schumacher in 2004. He got elbowed out, so that's a possibility. Second one, maybe through Ravazza coming into the start-finish straight, but that's about it. There's not that many overtaking spots here.
Okay, just a reminder of the format for today. We're in the final round of the season. There's a 10-minute qualification process. There's points available for the first 5 races. Then we have a 15-minute sprint race followed by a reverse grid 30-minute race, which will include a pit stop and all the potential of mayhem that causes. The others who can possibly cause a problem, obviously Jack Keighley is second in the championship. He's had a standout season, Keighley, but is he too far behind?
Well, judging by how the points are looking right now, not that far. Mathematically still possible, but he needs to get qualifying those 5 points. And plus, a race win and the fastest lap will do him a world of good.
Yeah, it certainly would. In last week's aborted race, he did well. He didn't do well, did he? He had a real nightmare problem. So he is one of the ones who's got a free ride on here, and sometimes a little bit of luck can really help you towards a champion.
It's a get out of jail card, I would safely say, for Keighley.
Okay, he is fastest through Sector 1. Early stages, we've got about 8 minutes left in qualification. So let's just stick on Jack Keighley as he comes through Sector 2 here. He's looking quite relaxed bottom right in the Williams Esports, and that's what you mean by flowing. But he hit the tram line just a little bit hard there.
Yeah, he went through the corrugations on the curves on the outside somewhat hard, so it kind of compromised his entry into Aqua Minerale. His exit was okay, but it's just the entry was a bit wide. He's going purple right now, but that's only because no lap times have been set just yet.
Yeah, but the purple, it's always good to get a banker lap in to make sure you're somewhere towards the front of the grid and not struggling right at the end. I've got to tell you that Mohammed Ibrahim is suspended for this qualification, so he will not pick up any points. And also JMX Phantom are not in this qualification either. But for Jack Keighley, a P2, the man in pole, Ben Spanky.
Yep, and that's what he desperately wants because he just doesn't want his championship robbers to be in front. That puts him on the back foot coming into the race. He has done the banker lap that he needed, but only a 10th in it. In fact, 2 tenths between first and third.
Certainly is. It is pretty close, but Banky will be looking to put this banker lap in. 6.5 minutes to go. Even if he drops a little bit further down, this will just give him the confidence that he's actually starting from the front of the grid, and so long as he avoids a little bit of trouble, he'll be picking up a useful number of points in race number 1. That must be the target.
Indeed, and he was looking behind there in case if he had any traffic behind him. So who's that? I think that was one of the Williams Esports cars. It looks like it is. So he's just keeping an eye out on Jack Keighley, I think, as he goes across the corrugations through Aqua Minerale again. One of the other guys who has done it before. So really then, yeah, a bit antsy, shall we say, at this.
It is a little bit, but he is fastest at the moment. Let's go on to the cars just while it's early in qualification. Some of the guys we've not really spoken about. This is Mihai Neg, the Romanian, driving for Virtual Drivers by TX3. He started the season pretty well, but then he rather disappeared from the consciousness and hasn't been able to put points on the board, Mihai.
Indeed, and he only has sporadically some points, you know, fringe points every now and then, but he's not at the forefront. He just became a secondary character in this grand scheme of things in terms of championship protagonists.
And we've also got to mention Axel Knock-on, the 10-year-old. What a brilliant learning experience this is for him. We didn't expect him to pick up many points, but he's been competitive. He's not gone in people's way, and this will be a fabulous learning experience.
Absolutely. It's not something to actually be ashamed about, because he has seen the masters of this game really showing him the way, and he could potentially be one of those championship contenders in the future along the line.
Okay, right. One other racer. We're getting towards the 5-minute mark. Ben Spanky is still the man on fastest lap. Team Flash. Well, Inigo Anton has posted the fastest Sector 1 time. And so the fast Filipino, as we used to call him, he's now a lot more mature as a racer, and he's winning real races and doing fabulous work back in the Philippines. And he's fastest through Sector 1 at the moment.
Yeah, the Radical Philippines champion, one of those championships that are held locally there. He is coming here with a lot of confidence, and
Called a stop. Called a stop. He was fastest through Sector 1. That might give him a little bit of encouragement, though. But Ben Spanky is looking to improve his time, and does indeed. A 1/10.5 faster than he was. That gives him, gosh, it's a half-second lead over Martin Stefanko, who's just posted a P2.
An absolute blind overlap, so this is what he needed. And again, he has enough time to actually do another one here. So the first guy into the 16s. Last time out, it was actually Keithley well into the 16s, close almost to a 15. But this is what Banky needs. He needs to have a good final round for qualifying here for the final round.
He won't get any protection from Mohamed Ibrahim, certainly in the early stages of any racing, because Ibrahim is not allowed to qualify. So Banky has got to do all his hard work himself. He is fastest at the moment. He's just on an outlap at the moment. Let's have a look at somebody else who might just clear the pitch a little bit, in that Nabil Aslan. Oh, he just came through the back there of... is that his teammate? No, there is Nabil.
It's a JMX card. No, that's not JMX, actually. That looks like... No, it is Anton, so he might have actually accidentally blocked Anton there.
That wasn't in the plan. So Inigo Anton having a difficult time. Ben Spanky is still leading the way. 3 minutes left for qualification. And you need to get points on the board pretty quickly. So Nabil, he'll need to finish this lap and get then onto a flying lap. Who is on a flying lap? Tasby, perhaps? No, he's on an out lap as well. I'm looking for somebody who's trying to improve their times at the moment. There's the man, Jack Keithley, through Sector 1, but 2/10 down.
He will improve, though, because... Oh, no, never mind. He actually bailed out of that, and unfortunately, he may not have enough time here. Okay, just about as a whisker enough, but he has to get that outlap out of the way quickly.
Here's somebody who we expected a lot of at the start of the season, the German Julian Kunter for Apex Racing Academy Brunei. He's posted a P6, a 117.9. It may be late in the season, but last we're seeing the best of the German.
Indeed, in fact, we saw the best of him in the very first round, where he had a podium in race 2, so that was about as good as it got at that point. But if he actually could pull it off in the final race of the season, who knows? That is actually one way to finish it off and just put him onto the shop window for a future entry next season.
Absolutely, but he is 5/10 down, but good to see him in the spotlight. Naki Baslan has got himself up into the top 5, so he's picked up points. I'm just trying to see, yeah, the big names are there. Stefanko is there. Keithley in P6 at the moment. Jack Keithley is out of the points.
That's not what he wants, because look, Banky actually can increase his gap by a further 5 points if he actually stays on pole position. Keithley, then, it has not turned out the way he wanted in part 2 compared to what happened to part 1, so he's gonna get this last lap in, and he has to do it very quickly.
He has to do it very quickly, doesn't he? It's going to be very, very much touch and go for Jack Keithley, the Englishman in the Williams Esports. It's a big name. He's shown that he's got the real metal. Right, let's go on board with Jack Keithley. And at the same time, he's pulled out.
No, that's Stefanko, that's Stefanko. Let's go back to Keithley then. So he's coming out to Variante Tamburello, and it looks as though it's clean so far, but we'll wait and see once he comes out to Villeneuve into Sector 1, whether this time is actually good enough.
At the moment, it's Banky who has P1 from Stefanko. That's the front row of the grid. Chin and Mohamed Tasby. Kalen Chin onto the front row of the grid, and a little wobble there from Keithley, but he's close. He's only 800ths down on his best time.
Indeed, and he got a bit squirrely coming to Tosa there, so he might have lost a bit of time trying to regain the traction of the car coming out of the corner, but looks as though he is fine for now, but we'll have to wait and see once he comes to Sector 2 whether that has affected him.
Mohamed Tasby has gone second faster, so Tasby and Chin, they are looking pretty strong.
Oh, we don't get to see the end of that, but it looks good right now because he's just within a 10th here coming up to Sector 2.
At the moment, Ben Spanky has a lead by 2/10 from Mohamed Tasby. Great work from Team Flash. Galen Chin of Black Arts Racing and Stefanko on the second row of the grid. At the moment, it's Naqib Aslam with Jack Keatley out of the points. So, in terms of the overall championship, that is great news for Ben Spanky. P3,
Yep.
I think. P3 for Jack Keatley.
P3 and just 3,000s behind Tasby's time, so he managed to just chop it in, but he's lost 2 points.
Wow, but he's in a position to challenge. So Banky, ignore that graphic. That graphic isn't correct at the moment. Banky, Tasby, Keithley, Chin and Stefanko are the point scorers.
Wow.
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 Jack Keepley had to pull out all the stops there.
Well,
all
he
the
was going to,
stops.
you know, he's second in the championship. He was looking to be qualifying 7-8, which would be disaster for him. So to get up to P3, recovered that qualifying. But Ben Spanky, how about that? You're leading the championship. You got success ballast, and you have to deliver. And he delivers with pole position. What a great lap that was. A 16.9. On the Slovakian.
He's
Really,
actually
really.
upped himself from last week as well, I should add. So
Absolutely,
he's in a stronger position right now. But again, it's just qualifying.
Qualifying.
There's a long, long way to go. There's a lot more points on the board. But who was the standout moment for you? It has to be Keithley, right? More than anything else.
I think Keithley was the most exciting moment. Dramatic, because he was looking like to be at the bottom of the top 10, which would have been championship chances over effectively. But Ben's lap was very special, you know. He's been under big pressure. He's been leading the championship since round 4, round 5, you know, when he went on that 3 wins streak. But he's been under pressure, you know, the last 2 rounds, and to deliver now a pole position, that's a fantastic lap.
And how important is it as well, not just for the drivers, we have to remember there's also a lot of cash to be won for the team championship, particularly no Mohamed Ibrahim to get any points whatsoever. He's banned from qualifying. Bence gets first. He gets the maximum points there.
So, I mean, Bence just has to focus on his race. You know, he's going to hope Ibrahim has a good start, good first few laps, and gets up there. And Ibrahim can. If any driver can surge through the field, it's Mohamed Ibrahim. Of course, it is a bit high risk, obviously, because there's going to be a lot of traffic on the first few laps. But let's talk the man of the hour, you know? Bence, I mean, you are the championship leader, and that was a champions qualifying lap. You must have been quite pleased with that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very happy with that because, as maybe you can hear on my voice, I'm pretty sick. So it was a challenge to piece a good lap together. But you know, this is my PB basically. I pieced it together when it mattered. So I'm very happy with this lap.
Well, that's what makes champions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Putting it together when it matters.
That temperament. I need to ask though, how have you been feeling leading into this? It was a 17-point difference before qualifying, with your lead at the top. Were you feeling the pressure?
Yes, of course, because this gap that I have between myself and Jack is not too much. You know, 17 points is not much. Okay, right now it is up to 19 points, but still I expect a very difficult race because Jack is extremely fast. So I need to do everything in my power to remain on top and to win the race.
Okay, well, I hope you do feel better as the race day progresses. All the best for race 1 and race 2, okay?
Thank you.
He does look sick, doesn't he?
Really under the weather, but it doesn't stop him from performing his personal best there.
But you know what? Drivers are a different breed. We've seen that happen so many times over the years. Drivers been sick and stuff, but they still pull it out when it matters. I mean, it's still too early. We just talked about it. It's just qualifying. 2 races to go. Anything can happen, and Bence is very focused. But yeah, he doesn't look well, does he?
Well, that's why he's a professional and I'm not. But we are going to go for a quick commercial break. When we return, we will have race 1, the sprint race. 15 minutes of non-stop action. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the E1 Championship 2022.
And we are up to a start. Jack Keatley gets the victory, punches the air in delight. Green lights get us up and running. Stefanko and Banky at the back. There is a collision. Great start, but he's bashed down now into P12.
Yeah, and you know what's double whammy there? Keatley spun it. Keatley has half spun it and into the crowd. It's a chaotic start to race 2 there.
Stefanko gets off to a slowish start, and Josh Perwin has made a move. Masvilton has also made a move, and there's more contact behind. Again, Mohamed Ibrahim as 2 racers go flying off on the outside.
They're now trying to get by in the second as Tasby. Oh, it's a hit! It's a big hit there. Tasby sent into the wall by Jack Keatley, and that is definitely going to be a steward's inquiry after this, Des.
So Mohamed Tasby for the 2nd race in a row loses really a big number of points. This is a terrific start as Kalen Chin has a big problem.
Oh, he just went onto the curb there, got launched into the air. And unfortunately for Kalen, he's lost a huge amount of positions.
6 positions indeed it was, and contact there as well on the back there of Martin Stefanko.
Oh, in fact, it's even worse for Kalen. He's done an Austin Powers. He's actually stuck it right there in the pit lane. No, that is so disastrous for the young Aussie Singaporean.
Axel is P13 at the moment, 10-year-old who's getting tons of support on our Facebook pages.
Oh.
Let's go on board with Axel. Sorry, fella, went on board exactly the wrong time.
And he took out Nabil as well for good measure. So that is actually a rather weird way to have a crash. Here comes Keatley on the inside. He has actually touched Ibrahim, and that is the most controversial moment of this season. Look, his front wing is gone, Des.
Stefanko, smooth start, but Masvilton is there behind them. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in all kinds of problems. And we are up to a start. Jack Keatley gets the victory, punches the air in delight.
Welcome back once again to the grand finale of the E1 Championship 2022. My name's Adam Carruthers, alongside the racing director Alex Young. Everything here that you're seeing today has been organized by Axel Sports, EGG and Astro. We are supported by the Motorsports Association of Malaysia, also known as MAM for short, and RaceRoom. We are live on Arena, plus we're also live on Suka, and we're even broadcasting on YouTube and on Facebook. As it is on the screen, just look up E1 Championship. Makes it very easy to share amongst your friends and family members. We're even broadcasting in Singapore via Mio Sports 2, in Vietnam on VTV Cab, Thailand on True Gaming Up, and in Indonesia via TVRI Sports. So greetings to all the viewers across the entire region. Before the camera cut to us, what you saw was this, the beautiful trophies we have, and they are heavy. They are very, very heavy. I'm going to try to pick one up. Yeah, careful. Good luck shipping this. It'll be very expensive.
Yes, it will be. Anyway. But it's nice to have such heavy trophies, you know. It's like they're proper. You know, the drivers and teams are going to love having them.
I wish I could have one for myself at home as well. We've just had qualifying, by the way, so before we head over to race 1, let's have a little recap with our commentators, Des and Emma.
Yeah, we can confirm Ben Spanky will be on pole position for the Mumbai Falcons. That's brilliant for the championship leader. He'll be alongside Mohammed Tasby on the front row. But Amo has Jack Keithley. Last second, he's gone into P3, keeps his hopes alive. Kalen Chin drops down to P4, Stefanko in 5.
Yeah, that last gasp effort may just be enough to salvage a bit of that particular qualifying session for him. But what he has done in the overall championship is that Bance has actually increased his championship by about 2 points, a further 2 points. It's now 19. So Jack really needs a good race here if he stands up any chance of trying to overhaul the Slovakian.
Many thanks to the two guys. You know, this is something that struck me, and I know neither Williams driver is in pole, but how often have we seen Williams get off to a slow start? Because they really cannot afford to do so today, either for race 1 or race 2.
Yes, I mean, you've got Keithley in P3, Stefanko P5. They need to try and have a good starts, but like you said, they've had poor starts this year. Just haven't figured out quite how to manage the starts in RaceRoom. But it's still
I
a
don't
long
understand why. We even asked them last week. I'm not sure if you remember. They didn't have an answer first. They were questioning themselves.
Well, partly it's just how you start with what sort of gear, because you know there's so much power on these cars. I know some like to start in 3rd gear, and you know force control starters on, so they're always playing with stuff on the clutch and stuff like that to just optimize everything. There's a lot of many different configurations, so sometimes teams take a little bit longer. Also, the ping will also affect it a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, there's a bit of head scratching there going. Maybe they figured it out. Let's see what sort of start they have for race 1. But even if they have a poor race 1 start, it's not over. 15 minutes it's a short race, but they have the pace and they must not panic. Yes, it's not ideal to have the championship leader in front of them in pole position and taking those 5 points for pole position, but they can still do something. And let's not forget, they got the team's championship, so they just need to make sure they score a lot of points in race 1.
Yeah, that's certainly very true. But for Ben Spanky himself to be in pole, to be here, to be ready, I mean, it's really in his hands, and it's a real question of his temperament, because last week he was P2, wasn't he?
Yeah, so this is the tricky thing. You could see he had exactly the right attitude. We were all saying, hey, well done, congratulations, and he wasn't having any of it. He wasn't even looking at us. He was like, this means nothing, which is exactly the right attitude, because he's got 2 races coming up, and he needs to get them. He needs to nail them. You're only as good as your last lap, and as soon as you've done that, you got to forget about it, and that's what he's doing. You can see he's struggling, he's a little bit sick, but he knows that pole position means nothing if he makes a mistake in race 1. And the gap is not big. It's now 19 points. That's tiny. If he just has one issue, loses 1 wing. So he needs to make sure he has a clean start. And if he does get overtaken, he needs to make sure he doesn't panic.
Yeah.
You know? Because even if say Keithley gets to the front, or Tasby, or one of the others gets to the front, still finishing 3, 4, 5 is still a great result for Benz. Because don't forget, we've got a race 2, which is a reverse grid as well. So he needs to just be calm. And you know, you can tell with Benz, these top drivers like Benz, Stefanko, Keithley, the Nakibs, Tasbys, you know, they've been doing it a while now. And they know how to keep their mentality, their cool under control.
Their temperament on point. Amo, can I ask you as well, as someone who's led far more races than I ever will in my entire life, what's the trickiest things that you need to monitor during the course of a race, be it a sprint race or a reverse grid, 30 minutes, whatever it might be?
Well, we had to add another factor into that, Adam, the championship connotations, which is one thing you have to consider. It does play onto your mind, because I've been in situations where it was in a league race. It's really something that you have to think about. You have to think about your own car, how the strategy has played out for you, and how the others around you, where they start and how they're going to behave. So that's how it does actually play into your mind. And for Ben's case, a lot more is at stake, a lot more money is at stake, and yeah, a lot of drivers behind him who are fast, who could easily overhaul him. So he just needs to focus what's the given objective in hand. Just keep that lead coming to turn 1. Try to hold the whole shot in the sprint race, and the rest will be just a formality.
Okay, because I remember one of my most memorable interviews so far this entire season was when we spoke to Mohammed Ibrahim. I think he just won a sprint race or qualifying, I can't remember, but he thanked profusely Mumbai about 3 times in one interview. So I'm thinking, what's his role here today? Because he has to be support, nothing else to Benz, but how can he fulfill that?
Yeah, it's going to go through like MMORPG type of game where he needs to be like the supporter in this case, because he's not going to go for the glory. He's going to try to help his team as much as possible, but he's going to have to do that starting from P17. So he has to claw his way through the field here. Only then he could try to just disrupt the Williams guys. It's still a tall order, so he'll have to play support in the second race because he'll be much closer then.
Okay, interesting. And I guess he's the one to keep an eye on in many ways, because we know how aggressive he can be, Emma. We know how involved he can be, sometimes a little bit too much, to put it politely.
Yes, a bit of a firebrand.
Ibrahim was a supporter, yes. I was looking at you askance there, I've got to say, Emma.
Yeah, because he's quite a firebrand, isn't he? It's not his kind of shindig, we can safely say.
In the cockpit, out the cockpit, he's a great kid, but he's a little bit feisty once he's in the cockpit.
Okay, in terms of their chemistry, all right, that's one thing. We know Benz is the one that's really going to be pushing to win the championship. He is the leader. What about the relationship between the two Williams drivers for you, Alex? What about being support for Jack, Martin's role? How is he going to view it?
We've got so many young kids in this championship. I think they're quite old, aren't they? Jack Kifley's, I think, 27, and Stefanko's 23.
Please don't say they're old, but anyway.
They're not old, obviously, but they're mature. You know, they've been doing this a long time. Stefanko's he's the RCCO champion from last year in RF2, which was a really serious championship. So, yeah, I mean, they've seen it all before. You know, they're going to work together. They'll be, you know, talking to each other in Discord. Yes, they're going to try and get the best result, and let's not forget they're also both fighting for second in the championship. But I think they'll work together and they'll be quite clever.
How are they going to be working together? Because I think it was when we were in Interlagos, I might be wrong of the race, but we really saw Mohammed Ibrahim just completely being supportive of Benz. He wasn't trying to push him, wasn't trying to overtake.
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to expect from Martin and Jack today?
We saw it in Interlagos as well. I mean, Stefanko was right behind Kifley, and he didn't want to try overtake, and he actually lost the position to Nakib Aslan right at the line. So they will try and support each other, I think. Team championship is important to both teams.
Yeah. Okay, Emma, I need your take on that. Is that the sensible approach here?
Yeah, indeed, because one thing is you want to be your teammate, but at the same time you do not want to trip over each other and step on each other's toes. That's the last thing you want to do, especially fighting for the team championship as well. So priorities are different between the two camps, because I would say Mumbai Falcons, they got one driver who's going to definitely challenge for the title, but both of them can work together for the teams. For the Williams Esports guys, it's going to be a bit difficult. They are both challenging not only for the team championship, but also for the drivers. So when it comes to the crunch, who's really going to be calling the shots? We'll have to wait and see, because it's hard to call on that one. But if it really is one of them going for broke, somebody might break the rule of the code of conduct between the teammates.
That's why it's fascinating. That's why I want to see what's going to pan out here, just to see the strategies in play from the two teams who are battling for the team championship, and also, of course, the individual drivers championship. Amo, just really quickly here, what do you think would be the winning strategy for the sprint race today?
Well, for the sprint race, of course, take the whole shot and try to break that DRS range from the very first lap, because once you're out of there, you're pretty much safe. You can just control the pace from there. And we saw it like what Jack couldn't do last time, was not get the whole shot. So really then, Banky will not want to fall into that same pitfall.
Amo, you and Alex always speak with logic and precision. Someone who speaks with passion is Des Corkill. Give me a wild card prediction for the sprint race. Race 1 today, Des.
Well, I looked at the pace of Kalen Chin and Mohammed Tasbi, and they could be the spoilers. We're assuming that the Aslan brothers will be the spoilers, but I think Kalen is, I love Kalen as a racer. He's exciting, he goes for it, he makes mistakes, which makes my life an awful lot easier. So I have a look for Kalen to end his season on an absolute high. He's not had the greatest season so far, but Kalen, just to put a, what is it, cat amongst the pigeons, Amo, is that your phrase? Or the pigeon amongst the cats?
The cats.
Yeah.
But that's a really good point, though. I mean, because Kalen really should have won 2 races this year.
Should have.
He should have. So we know how quick he is. He was only 2/10 off getting pole position just now. But just hasn't been able to put together the races. You know, he makes mistakes at a very crucial point. But, you know, I really hope we can see Kalen fighting for a championship in the future E1 championships, you know, actually going for the championship win.
Let's not forget his age, because he did mention that there are more senior drivers who have been there and done it all. I'm sure Kanan's going to treat this as a good learning experience nonetheless. We're just about ready for the sprint race. Race 1 for the grand finale. Let's pass it straight over to Des and Amo for commentary.
Axel Knockham gives us a little highlight just at the end of their practice. practice. We've just been waiting for the JMX Phantom guys to get into the server. Daffy Ardianza will be there. Russell Reyes, at the moment, I can't see him in the server, but hopefully Russell will be able to get there just in time. They're potential spoilers as well, those JMX boys.
Indeed, but they may not play so much of a role because they're further behind. So they're going to have to do what Ibrahim is doing and just try to carve their way through the field here. And just now, when we were actually doing the formalities talking through, I saw Keithley actually, or was it Stefanko, at the end of the pit. So he's practicing his starts. He doesn't want to end up getting caught short like what happened in part 1.
Absolutely. We are approaching the finale, last 2 races of the season. A 15-minute sprint race. Ben Spanky is the man in charge of his own destiny. He leads in the championship quite substantially. He's got on pole position. This is his title to lose, despite, and I need to ask you, he is under the weather. He doesn't look great. How does that play in? Or do you just tunnel vision and work your way through the next, hour and a half of his life?
I think the adrenaline will probably be the one that's just going to be his penicillin, isn't it? Because that will be enough to just distract him out of it. Because when we saw him in the interview just now, he looked really out of it compared to when he was racing, because it's not in the race mode. So the adrenaline wore off a bit. That's why he sounded so croaky. But in the race, it's going to be a completely different story. His mind's set on it. It's going to be so ultra-focused. He forgot that he's under the weather.
Well, you racers should get out a little bit more. Maybe that's why it looks a bit pasty, huh? Okay, we are 45 seconds or so away from the race itself. Ben Spanky is the man in charge of his own destiny. We are at the Imola circuit. It is one of the most iconic venues in world racing. Amo Hazik alongside Des Corkill in the commentary box, as we have been all season and throughout this E1 Championship. This is the 4th season of E1 Championship. We've had 3 different winners so far, and we're guaranteed a 4th, probably a European. Right, when the red lights go out, we will be underway. We're on board with Ben Spanky. What kind of a start can Ben Spanky get? The Mumbai Falcons racer. It's a long hold at the start, and Banky hasn't got off to the best of starts. In fact, Mohammed Tasby has gone alongside him. Ben Spanky has the inside line though, and he's just able to hold on, or is he? No, Tasby takes the lead, and Banky drops down to P2.
And that's not what Ben Spanky would have wanted, but he could console himself by the fact that Keithley got off even worse than him. He's actually dropped a position to Nakib. So the Williams guys, once again, the story of their season, race starts have been their Achilles heel. As further behind, that's a big accident for Zikri, and he's off into the barriers there.
Yeah, Mohammed Zikri is suffering a real injury, and maybe he's been affected by that as well. He had a knee injury from an accident at home, but he's off the track at the moment. Behind Banky and Tasby, Nakib Aslan has got himself into P3, and you're dead right about Jack Keithley. There he is in P4. Keithley, he was in P3 at the end of pole. He left it late then. He's going to need to make a move at some stage.
Yep, indeed, and we can work out the championship permutations as we go, but for the time being at least, he's lost, where? Banky's in 2nd place, so that's about 20 points. 4 points he's lost actually in this case, so he's not going to count it now. The immediate vicinity is Nakib Aslan. He will try to get in front of him.
Absolutely that. You've got to have a look at who's in front of you and not worry about the rest. As we come up to the end of lap number 1 though, and it's a substantial lead for Team Flashers Mohammed Tasby. We often forget about Tasby. I always say this, but he's got a race win this season. As we look on Martin Stefanko, Stefanko's not made the best of starts.
Yeah, Stefanko actually dropped a couple of positions. In fact, he started 5th, so he's lost position to Anton and Chin, so they've actually gotten the jump on him. This is not what he wanted as well. So if race 1 actually goes absolutely into the crapshoot for him, he's going to have to play support for the 2nd race to help Keithley's bid for the title, but Keithley's not happy himself. He's run wide at Tosa.
Keithley has made another mistake there. Inigo Anton has got in front of him, although Keithley's got himself back in ahead of Inigo Anton. And Kalen Chin in the red machine. He's on the back of Inigo Anton. I've been looking forward to Kalen Chin making a move at some stage. He was pretty quick, and there we are on board with Kalen Chin. Looks on the inside of Inigo Anton. DRS is difficult to utilize on this circuit.
Yep, but he utilized it just now coming out of Tosa. He had to use it in defense to actually get up to 4th place, as Nakib there was actually challenging coming up to the Variante Alta for second position against Banky, but Banky aggressively holds on to it, and for the time being has survived. But they've lost so much ground to Tasby. That is the kind of thing I was saying just now. He broke the DRS range, and he could actually just scamper away at the front.
But Ben Spanky won't be too upset if Tasby gets away. He's just looking at the championship challenges, Stefanko and Jack Keithley. Keithley has dropped down a place. Keithley is down into P6.
Oh, done.
Because Kalen Chin, who's put in a storming lap, he's just put in a 120.7 lap as Kalen Chin.
And the worst thing is that, not talking about Chin, but we're talking about Keithley and Stefanko. This is not looking good for them in the team standings either, because Banky is still in P2, so he's going to take an ample load of points here in race 1.
So it's a dubious first 3.5 minutes, but it's a 15-minute race. As you so often and quite wisely remind me, a whole lot can happen in that time. But Kalen Chin, oh, who went off then?
Nabil has actually dropped it coming up to Aqua Minerali.
So Nabil Aslam for Sem 9, he's dropped down. Kalen Chin putting real pressure on the back of Inigo Anton, and Chin is the man who is holding up Keithley and Stefanko. In fact, that's unfair of me. He's not holding them up at all, is he? He's racing away from them. It's the Williams who are trying to catch up with Kalen Chin.
Indeed, and they might try to work with a DRS train here to just slipstream each other coming out to the start-finish race. So this time around, Keithley doesn't have DRS. Next time around, he would, and he will, yep, look at that. He's utilizing immediately. All the while then, Stefanko behind him, he's using the extra bit that he has left for this lap.
That's very, very clever teamwork coming into operation for the Williams team. But Kalen Chin is actually just proving that he can be a fly in the ointment, as can Inigo Anton. These are two young racers from Southeast Asia who we've been following throughout the E1 Championship 4 seasons, and they're consistently competitive.
Yeah, we have to go back to the top 3 then, because look, Nakib then up to the back of Ben's Banky. Banky, on the other hand, actually has made up the 1 second that he lost last time out to still be in the DRS range, so he could challenge Tasby here. All the while then, Nakib will be eyeing third win of season 2.
Yeah, Nakib Aslan, he has been very good, a previous winner, of course, of the E1 Championship, but he's not going to win it this year, despite a victory in a P2 in round 6 last week at Interlagos. Here he's in P3. And I must say, bottom right, he's looking very, very focused, as young Nakib.
Indeed, and looks like he just didn't really bother about combing his hair this time around, because he just wants to focus on the race. So, coming up to the start-finish line then, DRS open, and he will use this extra bit of DRS that he has left for the next run. So, in essence, he has 4 uses of DRS. Coming up now to Tamburello, and looks as though no way through just yet, but Tasby, we thought he was going to run away with it. He's actually being reeled back in here.
Yeah, well, Ben Spanky, there is Tasby left of your screen. Banky in the blue, followed by Nakib Aslam from Sem 9. I don't think Banky's really concerned about Tasby, though. I think he's just making sure that he stays on the track. He is looking more tense than he usually does, though. Bottom left of your screen.
Well, I think he always normally looks like that, to be honest. That's because he just...
A little bit paler, perhaps.
A bit paler, but still the same old stoic face that he has when he races, because he knows for a fact that a lot's at stake and the payout is huge. So this is the big payday for these guys, and he doesn't want to muck it up.
How about his teammate, Mohammed Ibrahim, who started near the back of the grid? Well, Ibrahim's got himself up into P8. Mohammed Ibrahim, but he's 2.5 seconds behind the Keithley Stefanko train, who are in 6 and 7. So Ibrahim's not really going to be able to help his teammate Ben Spanky too much close by him, but the more points he can get, the better it is for the team championship.
And the other thing that we can add on, he can actually try to spoil the Williams party as well. So he could actually act there as a disruptor and try to really cause them to make a mistake. So all is not lost yet for the Mumbai Falcons guys, but a lot can be lost here for the Williams Esports guys. Okay,
as we approach the midway point of the race, I just want to break away from this leading group just for now and just see some of the guys who we don't often talk about. Daffy Ardianta, he wasn't able to get into qualification, but Daffy has made his way up from P19 to P11, and I have loved the work of this JMX Phantom team. They seem to get their setup really right, and Daffy's just gone past Dan Finney there.
They're spoiled for choice in that particular team because they got 3 good drivers, and they can unfortunately field 2. So if Dafa was actually from the start, he might have been able to challenge for the top 10.
And ahead of them, Julian Kunte and Mihai Neg. They're having a bit of a battle as well. Kunte from the Apex Racing Academy Brunei team. As you said, he had a podium earlier on in the season. He's not really shown that form. He had a decent qualification. Top 10 place would be a reasonable return. Obviously, he preferred top 8.
Yep, top 10 even in the championship, because he is outside of that at the moment. But if he could actually piece it together here, he could just break into that, carrying the Apex Racing Academy team as we now go back up to the battle for P2.
With apologies, director, for the later return. We are down into the final 7 minutes. The front three haven't changed for quite a while. Nakib hasn't been able to get onto the back of Banky and really put any pressure on him. And you're quite right, you said it earlier on, Tasby hasn't been able to pull away from Banky and Nakib either.
Yep, and he had a 1.5 second gap, you know, so I don't know how he has not been able to do so. Look at that, he jumped the curb coming out of Villeneuve. This might put him under pressure here from Banky, but no way through just yet. Through Tosa, then this is going to be a real scrap here for the top three. Yep, top Banky has actually got a poor exit, and they're both on the DRS. And again, Banky manages to stave off Nakib's attack.
Gosh, that was close though. He was very, very close to losing P2. But in the overall championship, he shouldn't worry too much. Maybe he just doesn't need to race. A P3 would be great, because Keithley and Stefanko are a long way down in 6 and 7.
Indeed, but he still wants to race for kicks. You know, he just wants to get another podium, another win, because that's the racer's mentality. You want to have as many achievements as you want, but at the moment at least, it looks as though Nakib might just want to steal that from him as we now come up for another lap here through Rivanza. Whoa, that was quite close, and I thought Nakib would try to look on the inside.
There's the view in his rearview mirror, the bench bank he has of Nakib Aslam. We're at the Imola circuit. We have got, well, we're nearly 2/3 of the way through this race, as he had a look there on the inside of Mohamed Tasby, and Tasby has not been able to pull away.
Yeah, but he has to defend with all his might and use a bit of the battery that he has left in his pack to actually stave off this attack. So he's going to have to regenerate some of that ERS power through the corners and use it on that final straight, because that is such a powerful straight for the DRS to be used there. So really then, he is a sitting duck if he were to get it wrong.
Coming up the hill, Mohamed Tasby looks back on that battle between Ben Spanky. Tasby, bottom right of your screen. Now he's been able to accelerate away, and that's good juice. And Bank, ooh, a little bit wayward then.
And he's got a slowdown penalty for that one, for track limits view, so he's got to have to get rid of it before the end of the next lap. Otherwise, he'll actually get a drive-through, which will just put paid to any sort of good points he would have gotten from this.
But he's sensible enough to know about that one, is Mohamed Tasby. As Nakib again, he comes close onto the back, and there's no real overtaking opportunities for Nakib. You were quite right, although it's a flowing circuit, getting past your opponent is, you're relying upon mistakes.
Indeed, and one of the few areas you can make force someone to the mistake was that Rivatsa. If they went wide on the exit, you can get him, and it looks as though Benz doesn't have DRS this time around, so now Nakib can try to fully attack. But once again, Benz manages to stave it off because he uses a bit of battery left as Nakib goes wide out of Temporello.
Okay, so a mistake from Nakib, it eases the pressure. Let's have a look and see how the Williams team are doing. Jack Keithley and Martin Stefanko, they are P6 and P7. Stefanko tries to go around the outside of Inigo Anton. Stefanko makes up a place. Anton drops down one place. But Keithley is still left stranded in P7, which is just 9 points for the race so far.
And this is not what he would have wanted coming into this round. It's a disastrous race that has panned out for both of the Williams guys. They're just trying to pick up the pieces here. And mathematically then, it's now just only 3 drivers in it for the championship, and 2 of them are not even close to the championship leader.
Indeed, Stefanko and, Stefanko and Keithley will be looking for prize money, because there's decent money available for P2 and P3. So that might come into their individual reckoning as well.
Indeed it would, but they would not want to actually knock each other out for that one. As we look back from Anton's view on to Jack Keithley, they've had a bit of history also this season as well, so Anton would love to avoid any of that too.
Certainly would. And coming into the equation is Mohamed Ibrahim, down in P8 at the moment. Sorry, very quickly, let's go back to Nakib as he's trying to make an effort on Ben Spanky once again. Unable to get past him. 2.5 minutes remaining, so we've got this lap plus 2 to go.
Indeed, just a couple of laps to go then for Tasby. He has driven a very controlled race up in front, and he has managed to actually block any sort of attack coming from the two guys behind. And by virtue of the fact that Banky actually is somewhat becoming Tabby's protector, but Nakib doesn't want to hang back anymore because he can see the Singaporean scamper away.
Nakib, I can tell you Stefanko's got ahead of Kalen Chin. Kalen Chin's dropped down to P5, so Stefanko's got himself into the top 4, so should anything bad happen to Ben Spanky, not that anybody is hoping, but Stefanko is looking just to capitalize as Nakib again just makes a little mistake when he's pressurizing.
Yeah, he actually just touched the come on the inside coming out of Variante Alta, and luckily he managed to hold on to that. You can hear the turbos spooling and the wheels actually are going onto the ground. He was fighting the wheel spin, but he lost time, and this might just play into Banky's hands here to hold on to second place.
1:45 to go, so 2 laps remaining. Mohammed Tasbi has got a lead of nearly 2 seconds. While Banky and Nakib have been scrapping with each other, Tasbi is looking to pick up his second win of the season.
Oh, he can't lose it now, can he? Because he has that gap that he had at the start of lap 2 when Banky and Nakib were just fighting each other. So there's no way he could lose it now. He just needs to drive a composed race, and he's on his way to his second win of the season. And he would have probably not counted that into the start of the season to get 2 wins, but here he is now, potentially with 2.
Further down, Keithley is making a move up on the inside of Inigo Anton. Can't get him. Nakib has got himself ahead into P2. Oh, as I took my eye off that for a moment, Banky has lost the place, and that offers a glimmer of hope to Stefanko and Keithley.
And look, Stefanko's actually right now half a second right behind him, and he just set the fastest lap of the race. So 2 extra points that could try to save his championship, and if he could overtake Banky, that will put him under the cosh.
A 1:18.593 is the fastest lap of the race for Martin Stefanko. Ben Spanky, though, it's still his championship to lose. He's got that 19-point differential. Shouldn't panic.
Yep, he should. And in fact, that the immediate rival to him, which is Keithley, is right behind every one of those guys who are actually in the immediate vicinity.
He's behind Chin, he's behind Anton. He's only going to pick up 9 points, Jack Keithley.
So really then, Banky can afford to just let Stefanko go, but then again, you wouldn't want to tell him to do that. He will try to defend it.
There is Stefanko. He's been impressive throughout the season. He started off like a house on fire really, really quickly. Is he able to get ahead of Ben Spanky in the lap and a half that remains as some dirt flies up off the circuit? Banky is closing in on Nakib Aslan. That's the battle for P2. Let's go on to P2. That's how big the gap is. Nakib in 2, followed by Banky, followed by Martin Stefanko.
And so far, at least between these 3, it's actually Nakib who has fought the hardest trying to get up to P2, but he's going to have to defend right now in the final sector here, and he is in the midst of that championship battle between those 2.
Certainly is. He's raced very well in the latter stage of the season, Nakib. He had some dreadful luck earlier on in the campaign, but a win and a P2 at Interlagos last week. Now he's looking for a P2 here as Stefanko looks down on the back of Banky. Is Stefanko going to make a big risky move, or does he just look after things?
Well, we can see Tasbi's going to cross the line then to take his second win of the season. We need to go back to the battle for 3rd. It might be a straight finish here, photo finish between 3rd and 4th, and Banky manages to hold on by the slenderest of margins by just 100th.
So Tasbi from Nakib, from Ben Spanky, from Martin Stefanko, Kalen Chin, Inigo Anton, Jack Keithley down in P7, Ibrahim in P8, Banky may be frustrated that he didn't finish in P2, but he's got a P3 to celebrate. But Mohammed Tasbi, we didn't really talk much about him, Amo. That's a fine performance from Tasbi for his second win of the season.
Absolutely gutsy defensive drive to actually get that win, and he definitely earned that particular one. He's rubbing his head, then probably the adrenaline has worn off a bit, and he can just let some of that emotion flood. But he knows full well part 1 of the job is done to actually win this first race. The second one, of course, he's going to start further behind. He just wants to end his season on a high and probably just challenge Nakib for 5th.
Certainly, it's bad news though for Jack Keithley. Finished only in P7, which is only 9 points. So despite a last gasp P3 in qualification, he wasn't able to capitalize it, and you called it very early on. Slow start.
Yeah, again, it's just been the story of their season. Their slow starts have become not only the Achilles heel, but it's almost a complete parasite to what could be just potentially good races.
So Tasbi takes the win from Nakib. Good performance from Nakib and Sem9. Banky and Stefanko, who also picks up points for the fastest lap. Kalen Chin, a top 5 place. Inigo Anton will pick up double digits for 6 ahead of Keithley Ibram. Julian Kunze in the top 10, as was Mihai Neg for virtual drivers by TX3. Points also for Dafa Ardiansa, Nabil, Axel Knockon, well done kid, Dan Finney and Ben Seek also picking up a single point.
Thank you there, Des and Ammo. Mohamed Tasbi. I know he's not in contention for the Drivers' Championship, but I tell you what, he has fully stepped out of his brother's shadow for me this year.
That's right. Tasbi and Nakib are fighting for I think, 5th in the championship, so that's a really close battle between them. But I couldn't take my eyes off that. That was a really tense race. You see the drivers had to perform. But Tasbi, yeah, we should talk to him now straight away, because he had big pressure from Bianchi in the middle of the race, and he held up for the race for that win, second win of the season. Tasbi, you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I think when the last race got cancelled and I finished P2, I was like, oh, you gotta get, and there's one more chance to go at it, you gotta go for the win. So I had a good start, and Banky was always in the DRS zone, so it's really hard to pull away. And I think just through that halfway through the race, I just started to find my rhythm a bit more, and I started to notice where the others would lose out compared to me, and I just started to go for it.
Yeah, you were really struggling to pull away, because it wasn't just Spence Banky there. You also had Nakib. They were fighting tooth and nail. We saw the reverse cam on the back of your car. Were you at all concerned at any point when you couldn't pull away?
Not really. I think there was one chance where Banky was side by side with me in the turn 1. But I knew that if I defended for that one lap, and even for laps to come, I knew where they were struggling and where I would gain a bit more time. So I just defended, and I'm not really worried, just happy with the pace really, that's all.
Are you looking at the championship standings as well for the individuals? Because you're in a nice little fight right now as well.
No, it's just race by race. Just see what I can do. If I can go for the win, go for the win.
Take
if not,
the win.
damage limitation. Yeah.
Okay. Just one last thing, because it is the grand finale. How do you view your evolution as a competitive driver and the team as well throughout the E1 Championship? What have you learned?
Yeah, I think new cars, new championship is always exciting. We did get a bit unlucky at the start of the season, a bit of game crashes, but apart from that, I couldn't really ask for more after that to bounce back and still be in the top 5 of the championship and fighting it all the way throughout. So yeah, happy with myself to keep on improving till the last race, knowing that I'm still in the hunt for wins and podiums.
It's great to see you evolve, my friend. Best of luck for the final race of the entire season, and we'll speak to you again soon, okay?
Yes, thank you so much.
The other thing I have to bring up, Jack Keithley. He's going to be bitterly, bitterly disappointed with his result in the sprint race. Yeah,
I think he'd be very disappointed with that. I'm not sure if Banky's got the championship now. It's going to be pretty close. But he's got one hand on the trophy, this one here, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does.
And Keithley, you know, we also saw it the other day, didn't he? He was really good in qualifying, but the race wasn't very good. So
it's the poor start, like we mentioned. It is the poor start.
But also the racecraft, also, he'll be kicking himself. He shouldn't have. Inigo got by him, and then Kalen got by him. And that wasn't done at the start. So just got kidnapped at those points, and he just struggled to get those positions back.
A lot of question marks there. Hey, tell you what, we've got one final race, like I just mentioned, so allow us to go for a quick commercial break. We've got 30 minutes of racing next. Hello and welcome to the E1 Championship 2022.
We are off to a start. Jack Keithley gets the victory, punches the air in delight. Green lights get us up and running. Stefanko and Banky at the back. There is a collision. Great start, but he's bashed down now into P12.
Yeah, and you know what's double whammy there? for, oh, Keithley spun it. Keithley has half spun it and into the crowd. Is a chaotic start to race 2 there.
Stefanko gets off to a slowish start, and Josh Perwin has made a move. Masvilton has also made a move, and there's more contact behind. Again, Mohammed Ibrahim, as 2 racers go flying off on the outside.
They're now trying to get by in the second as Tasby. Oh, it's a hit! It's a big hit there. Tasby sent into the wall by Jack Keithley, and that is definitely going to be a Stewart's inquiry after this, Des.
So Mohammed Tasby, for the 2nd race in a row, loses really a big number of points. This is a terrific start as Kalen Chin has a big problem.
Oh, he just went onto the curb there, got launched into the air. And unfortunately for Kalen, he's lost a huge amount of positions.
6 positions indeed it was, and contact there as well on the back there of Martin Stefanko.
Oh, in fact, it's even worse for Kalen. He's done an Austin Powers. He's actually stuck it right there in the pit lane. No, that is so disastrous for the young Aussie Singaporean.
Axel is P13 at the moment, 10-year-old who's getting tons of support on our Facebook pages.
Oh.
Let's go on board with Axel. Sorry, fella, went on board exactly the wrong time.
And he took out Nabil as well for good measure. So that is actually a rather weird way to have a crash. Here comes Keithley on the inside. He has actually touched Ibrahim, and that is the most controversial moment of this season. Look, his front wing is gone, Des.
Stefanko, smooth start, but Masvilton is there behind them. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in all kinds of problems. And we are off to a start. Jack Keithley gets the victory, punches the air in delight.
Hello and welcome back to the grand finale of the E1 Championship 2022. I'm your host, Adam Carruthers, alongside Alex Young, who is also the racing director, plus giving me technical and expert analysis, of course. Everything has been organized by Actual Sports, EGG and Astro. It's supported by the Motorsports Association of Malaysia, also known as MAM, and RaceRoom. We are live, by the way, on Arena, plus on Suka, even broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook. So this makes it easy for you to share the feed with all of your friends. Got plenty of time to do so for our final race. We're broadcasting in Singapore via Meo Sports 2, in Vietnam on VTV Cab, Thailand on True Gaming Up, and also in Indonesia via TVRI Sports. So hello to everybody there who's joined us across the entire region. We're going to pass you straight back over to Des and Amo to go through the highlights from race 1 earlier today.
All eyes on Ben Spanky in the pole position, but the blue and orange car getting off to a slow start. And Mohammed Tasby alongside him on the front row of the grid. He led from the first corner. Amo Hazik would hold on to that lead right to the end.
Absolutely, the whole shot was key for him to actually get the jump on the rest of the field. And plus, he had to hold on to that by virtue of the fact that, look at this, the frenetic racing that happened further behind. And Ben Spanky and Naqib Aslam were actually the stars of the race in this one.
And this is Jack Keithley going backwards as well. Naqib tries to get himself up ahead of Ben Spanky in P2. And all the while, although Tasby was leading, I think Spanky had his eye more on Naqib than anything else, and making sure, indeed, that Jack Keithley wasn't coming into the equation either.
Indeed. And conversely, on the other side, this is where the overtake maneuver happened for Naqib, but it wasn't enough to actually catch up to the back of Tasby because he's already checked out by this time.
Yeah, Naqib is in a fine vein of form. So is Mohammed Tasby, who went on to take the victory for his 2nd race win of the season. Naqib could then enjoy what was going on behind him as Spanky came under pressure from Stefanko, but Tasby takes the victory. And in the points, well, he takes 25 points, 2nd win of the season. Naqib Aslam picking up useful points as well, but there's the man in 3rd place. That's a really good result for Mumbai Falcons' Ben Spanky, because his 16 points take him even further ahead of Jack Keithley, who only had 9. It doesn't win him the title, but it's as near as damn it.
Yep, and in fact, we can go to it now. It's 26 points difference as we get the drop points in. He only needs 1 point from that final race to actually secure the title, because Keithley needs to win and get the fastest lap to overhaul him, plus Banky needs to not finish the race. So that is the situation here. Banky just needs to finish at best 14th to secure him the title for his first ever season in E1 Championship.
Very, very tight.
Many thanks there to Des and Amo. And based on what Amo just said and his permutations, and I trust him implicitly, at least I hope I do, Benz doesn't need to do much. He just needs to have a safe race, maybe get a couple of points on the board, and it's his.
Absolutely, he has to be safe. Also, it's against Jack, you know, because Jack has to win and take fastest lap. And we saw just now, he didn't look so comfortable in the race 1, so it's going to be, the odds are against him. But Benz just has to, you know, he just has to focus on himself. Don't do anything silly, just stay out of trouble, see how the first lap plays out, and then just settle in after that. Also, we have a really good battle for position. 4th place, Muhammad Ibrahim, Naqib Aslan in 5th, and Tazmi in 6th. They're only separated by 3 points. And these 3 have history together. They've been racing against each other for a while now, so that'll also be an interesting battle to follow.
I'm just going to put this out there. My own bold prediction, I haven't done a single one the entire championship, but I think Muhammad Ibrahim is going to go all out for this final race. I think we have to remember there's a team championship on the line as well.
Yes.
He will want to ensure that it's secured. I think it's 18 points.
That's right. I mean, Mumbai Falcons are leading the championship right now. It's a healthy lead. You know, so both Benson and Ibrahim will be talking to each other, and they'll be saying, listen, let's just be smart here. We just need to pick up some points. If we push too hard, we lose the front wing, and that's it. One of us doesn't score any points. Williams is going to sneak in for the team championship. So they'll be very wary of that.
And one final thing I have to bring up, because I said at the start of the show, the Aslan brothers cannot have a good race day on the same day. It's literally impossible. Just going by all the prior results. So today, Naqib, he did very well there. He was patient, battling against Bence, manages to snatch P2. What's going to happen for him today in the second race?
Well, the good thing about the 7-9 boys is they get excellent starts. They've had the best starts this season this year. So, but yes, I mean, they're fighting hard for the championship for, I think, 4th place, 3rd place in the championship. It's actually really close between 7-9 and Team Flash. So they're too far away from Williams and Mumbai Falcons, but they'll be fighting hard for that 3rd place.
So much to keep your eyes on. 30 minutes, reverse grid. We can't wait for this. So let's pass it straight back over to Des and Amo on comms.
Yeah, just 45 seconds to go, Amo, before the final race of the season. Banky just needs to keep rubber on tarmac. That's all he's got to do.
Yep, that's the bare minimum that he needs so that he can actually win his well-deserved championship ever since he was being consistent from the beginning.
But there's still thousands of dollars worth of prize money for the team and for P2, P3, P4. There's a lot going on. Stefanko and Keithley are very, very close in the overall championship standings. And even further down, there's decent money available for 4, 5, and 6 as well. So although it's not the championship, there's still plenty for myself and Amo Hazik to talk through. On the start will be Julian Kunte and Mihai Neg, who had a good battle for P9 in race number 1. When the red lights go out, the final race of the season is underway, and it's Kunte who gets off to a good start. Mohammed Ibrahim tries to force his way through as well. But Mihai Neg drops very, very rapidly from P1 right the way down to P8. So a dreadful start. And then that's Ibrahim was caught. Ibrahim is caught in a big crash and a massive pileup behind them.
And the championship contenders are involved as well. I don't know if Banky actually manages to go through, but Ibrahim's well truly out of it. Banky's up to P5. He's escaped the whole thing.
He's escaped, and Keithley is in P1. So Banky in P5, Keithley in P1. That would have been a terrifying moment for the Slovak.
And that would have actually sent some hearts racing back to where he was as well. Slovakia would have been on its knees praying that that would have never happened to him. But luckily, he's still in there, while Jack Keithley then needs what he needs to do, and he's leading the way.
And he's leading the way by 2.5 seconds. I can tell you, though, that Martin Stefanko, that could be very, very costly for Stefanko, because he's down in P13. He was caught up in all that mayhem. He's just gone past Josh Perwin. He's got Lance Lau in his sights, and Kalen Jim was caught up in that as well. But for Stefanko, another crash. Chin into the back of Stefanko. Oh, it is dodgem cars out there.
And Stefanko will probably be ruining that one. Not only that, he has to consign his Drivers' Championship aspirations out of the way, his team's championship chances are also now in tatters.
Who's that? Is that Ben Seek going way, way wide? There's giving your opponent room, and what Ben Seek did just then. Jack Keithley, though, has a lead, a huge lead ahead of Julian Kunze. So, is it going to be good enough? Will he be aware of where Banky is?
I think he can see him because based on how I've driven in RaceRoom, I can see at least the top 5 drivers on the top of the gantry. So he could see that Banky's there. He knows that it's still not enough. He needs to wish that Banky will be involved in further melees further behind.
Let's have a look at Ben's Banky. There he is in P5. He's behind Mihai Neg, who's got himself back into contention after being on the front row of the grid, dropping down to P9 and then coming through all the mayhem. But there is Banky with Axel Knock-on behind him and Inigo Anton behind him. So 2 of Filipinos' young talents are there. And there is young Axel. And Axel, will he have DRS opportunities to get the better of Ben's Banky?
Not this time round, but next time he would. And can you imagine if Axel actually becomes the spoiler in Ben's coronation party?
Yes, it certainly is a possibility. We'll revisit that. At the moment, Julian Kunze is under pressure from Nabil Aslan for P2. Mihai Neg is there, Ben's Banky, so Inigo Anton is looking on the tail end of Axel Knock-on there. So he will have DRS advantage over Axel. Axel have DRS advantage over Banky as Nabil Aslan moves into P2.
Yep, unfortunately out of our sights again. We just caught the end of that where Nabil goes onto the inside. That DRS straight, proving quite powerful once again, and he's up to P2. Now he's trying to set sights on Jack Keithley, about 2.5 seconds ahead.
We're also following the same pattern that if Nabil has a good race, Nakib doesn't. That has been the story of the season. Nakib is down in P10 after a P2 earlier on today. Nabil now in P1. Kunze is the man who's chasing him. Right then, Banky and Knock-on. Knock-on has got DRS. Let's see if he's going to try and make a move. Mihai Neg is the man in front of all that could cause a problem for Ben's Banky.
Yeah, in fact, that Banky is in a situation that he does not want because he's among that midfield that normally battle among themselves. He's going to have to negotiate that, and that's a terrible exit coming out of the Variante Alta. This will present Axel and Inigo an opportunity here.
Axel Knock-on has a little think about it. Does he have the experience just to hold off and wait for the right opportunity? Axel, the 10-year-old, bottom of your screen, perched up. Oh, he's tried to go around the outside of Banky. Of Inigo Anton, sorry.
Yeah, but in fact, Anton gave him a bit of a shove there, trying to open the door. Axel tries to defend, but unfortunately, Anton had the line and he overtakes. And now, here comes Banky going to the inside and takes away fourth place from Mihai Neg.
So far from being under pressure, Ben's Banky. This is now the coronation. There's still a long time to go. There's still a pit stop that they must do, and tyre wear is ×4. Times two, sorry. So everybody is on medium compounds, apart from Axel and Dan Finney, who are both on soft compounds.
And also, you have to actually point out the fact that what Alex said in part 1 was the fact that tyre wear is not such a factor here. So that's why the guys are going a bit aggressive to go into mediums. In fact, some on soft. So we're going to see a very fast race here, and some drivers actually might go a bit longer than the 15 or 20 minute mark. Let's
go back to our race leader, Jack Keithley. He's got a lead approaching 4 seconds now. 3.8, 3.9 seconds. Nabil Aslan is the man in P2. So Keithley, he's got to win. He's got to set the fastest time. At the moment, he hasn't set the fastest time. That belongs to
Stefanko.
I think it's even quicker. I think Nakib's got a 1:23.40.
Yeah, because I saw just now the live timing was
3:17.
Yep.
Stefanko is there, indeed. You're quite right.
So
that's why they pay you the big bucks.
Stefanko then with the fastest lap, but I don't think that would save his season and indeed Williams' season, as Anton then goes onto the inside of Mihai Neg. So Mihai Neg gets mugged for 2 consecutive laps at the same corner and losing a position. He's going to lose another one here.
Axel Knock-on tries to go through as well. Mihai Neg, he's been a brave competitor. Hasn't been at the top of the field, but we've seen that lime green more than once, getting involved in some good action. Axel Knock-on Is he going to make a move? It's Anton at the front of this little train of three. Nakib not far behind there.
Yeah, but Anton, somewhat we can safely say is the bourgeoisie of the midfield. He is in that top 10, just in the middle of the whole field, but he has not been able to break through further up. So he's happy to at least now finish right in that top 10 for this season.
My mate Russell Reyes has got involved as well. Russell, who missed the first race of it, couldn't get into the server. He's got himself here into P9. So Russell, welcome. Bit better late than never from Russell, but it's good to see he's driving aggressively once again.
Indeed. And it's such a shame that he cannot put any input after what happened in part 1, where he whacked into the back of Jack Keithley. That would have actually sent some hearts racing back in the Philippines. But luckily, he got off the hook for that one. But shame that he's not playing a bigger part in this race.
I can tell you, Mohammed Tasby, winner of race number 1, is out. There is Tasby in the pits. Also out is Josh Perwin and Dafa are the answer. So 3 casualties at the front. Julian Kunze is trying to make a move on Nabil Aslan. Great to see Kunze. He started the season so well. He's finishing so well. It's a shame about the 6 in the middle, or the 5 in the middle.
Yeah, it has not worked out the way that he would have liked. But, you know, it's just those kind of seasons where it may have not worked out, but you would love to finish on a high. And for Kunze, it's exactly what he's doing. It ends the way that it began.
There's a real train from P6 onwards. You can see Mihai Neg in the lime green and black. Virtual drivers by TX3, followed by the yellow of Axel Knockom, followed by Nakib Aslan. We're on board with Nakib. Behind them, we've got Jim Vilton and Russell Reyes. And Stefanko's got himself up into P11 and still has that fast lap. He's the only one who's got inside 120.
And we're going to go back to the battle for P2 here, because it looks as though Nabil made a slight mistake coming out of Rivadza. And Kunze, look at that, he's on the DRS. He's going to get him coming out to turn 1.
Kunze goes around the outside. Nabil tries to defend, but the DRS works there. And Julian Kunze, well played, fella.
And that's going to be his best finish of the season here if he manages to hold on to P2. There we go, there's Julian on the right, Nabil on the left. Nabil may not be too fussed about that, because remember when we had that race in Silverstone, he actually just let Nabil and Stefanko through, and Nakib and Stefanko through, and guess what? Nabil went on to win, so he's playing the long game here.
He certainly is. Nabil Aslan holds on to P3. There's still 21 minutes to go. Everybody in the leading group is on medium compounds. Only Axel Knockom is on soft, and he's battling with Nakib Aslan. Nakib's got himself ahead of Axel Knockom, so experience telling there. Axel will be learning and just absorbing as many lessons as he possibly can. But Nakib has worked his way very nicely up into P7.
Yep, and for once, they can buck the trend that only one Aslan brother is having a good race. And look at that, Neg actually made a mistake coming out of the Variante Alta, so Nakib may gain another position here as he comes out to Rivadza. Yes, that's the first maneuver that we've seen today coming out of Rivadza.
That was beautifully done by Nakib Aslan, and there was no nerves about it, was there? He saw the opportunity, slid right through, and Mihai Neg let him go into the pits on the soft compound. An early stop for Axel Knockom.
And that might get a lot of people's attention as well, because it looks as though the soft tires may not last the whole even half distance. So really then, it's probably just mediums in terms of strategy. But how long do you want to go into mediums is another question.
Well, it was a gamble. He and Dan Finney. Dan Finney has decided to stay. Let's just see how Dan is coping. As we're on board with Jack Keithley there. Dan Finney in his own colours. He's representing EGG team.
And in his own colours that the community have provided, because RaceRoom themselves made this livery for him, and part of the Australian flag as he gets it a bit wrong coming out to Villeneuve, but luckily no one around him is actually going to benefit from that. Is that
tyre wear that's causing him to slide all over the place at the moment, or just a mistake?
Probably just a slight mistake, so may not be something too dramatic. As we now look at the battle between Inigo and Ben Spanky, that would definitely be needing a mistake to actually have a position change.
Inigo Anton, P5, the fast Filipino. Looking on the tail end of Ben Spanky, the champion-elect. If that wheel stays on the track at the end of 30 minutes, Ben Spanky will almost certainly be champion.
And he can just let Anton through, he'll be fine anyway, because it's rather superfluous to actually just battle anybody for position. Because right now, he can just cruise and still be okay.
Here they go. Anton would love the opportunity to take the scalp of Banky. And there is Anton. Behind him, you've got Nakib Aslan making ground, and Nabil in front of them. So it's a 7-9 sandwich.
Yep, indeed. In fact, the sandwich with a double layer in between with Anton and Banky actually right up there. Well, this is going to be an interesting battle, isn't it? We know that Nakib's quite fast, so if he catches up to the back of both Anton and Benz, that will actually put Benz a bit under the cosh.
Let's get on board with Benz Banky. There he is, and he's looking back on Nabil. Behind them, there's plenty of racing going on. Let's talk about pit stop strategy, because we've seen the first guy go in. Actually, before we talk about that, let's talk about Mohammed Ibrahim. Ibrahim has clearly had a torrid time, because he's down in P17, some 40 seconds off the pace.
And remember, he was caught up in that turn 1 melee of about, I don't know, I think a dozen cars, more than a dozen cars were involved in that first corner scrap. And Ibrahim was the one that lost his front wing, so he had to stop almost immediately. Stefanko had to avoid him, so he's got his wing fixed, but his pit stop has not counted because it was before the pit window opening. So now we can only see 2 drivers have actually officially counted the pit. So for Ibrahim, he's gonna have to do this and another pit stop to actually just count that.
So in terms of the overall team championship, where there was only an 18-point differential between Williams and Mumbai Falcons.
Well, that's an interesting one, because that will be a win for Keithley. That's 25 plus the fastest lap for Stefanko. So Stefanko right now is P8. That's 10. So 35 points. That's a car mistakenly off to the grass. That's actually Lance Lau. And luckily, Lance stayed out of the way that time. So 35 points then for the Williams team. If things are going where they are for Banky, that's 13 points for 4th. It will still be Mumbai Falcons by just the slightest of margins, I think.
I'm just staying on Lance Lau, because if something were to happen between Benz Banky and somebody, that is the only danger for Banky. He's in P4 at the moment, and he'll be having fingers and toes and legs and all kinds of his anatomy crossed at the moment.
Yeah, because both of these guys have had history, mind you. Remember what happened in Interlagos, where the incident where Lance spun and it was in the path of Benz Banky. Their paths are going to collide here. Well, let's hope by hook and by crook nothing happens, as Banky is on the DRS around the outside, and that is an easy move for 3rd.
Yeah, far from worrying about it. Benz Banky is just saying, yep, forget the illness I've got. Forget the heartache of last week when I thought I'd won the championship. Let's just make sure I finish this in some style. And now he's got himself into P3. Will he be thinking of a win? Keithley's 6 seconds clear.
Far-fetched a bit, but right now he's probably just thinking to finish the race. And guess what? Look, there's Lance right now. That is not what he wanted. A back marker that he has history with.
Okay, let's just have a look at Lance Lau. Let's stick with this one. There is Banky. And Banky is under pressure from Nabil. And Lance, are you going to get out the way?
Well, he's still accelerating and just get out of the way. So that's sensible driving.
Yeah.
I was about to say sensible driving, but he just became a mobile chicane right there. And luckily for him, he spun out of the way to prevent any more mayhem.
Wow, that's exactly the crisis that we were worried might happen. No crisis for Jack Keithley, though. He's got just tarmac in front of him. We're approaching the 15-minute mark. Are we looking at change pit stops yet? Couple of laps?
Well, change of pit stop is one thing, but here's a development in the team's championship. If Benz actually finishes 3rd, he actually gains a bit of more points on him, but the total points will be 35. In fact, it's now 37 for Williams Esports. So if that were to be the case, it is just a 3-point advantage to Williams Esports.
And then we talk about fastest laps and everything. The fastest lap is held by Martin Stefanko of Williams.
Wow. So, hang on, just doing the permutation right now. So 25, yes. So Keithley gets the win, regardless of fastest lap, because Stefanko has it right now. So that's 11 points, 25, 11. It's 36 minus 16. So 20 points. They're going to pip them by just 2 points, Des.
Well, there's still plenty to race for. Let's look at Stefanko. He is in a race now with Mihai Neg and Nakib Aslan. So Stefanko in P7 at the moment. has actually gone past Mihai Neg, so he's got himself up into P6, Stefanko. That changes your calculations immediately.
Indeed, in fact, Stefanko now with the 10 points for 6, that actually now puts them right in the driving seat for the team's title, Des.
Okay, so Mohamed Ibrahim, what have you got? So 17th at the moment, 0 point.
0 point.
He's got Lance Lau, he needs to pick up some points. He's got Lau and Kalen Chin and Dan Finney, but he's a long way behind is Mohamed Ibrahim.
And plus he still has his mandatory stop to do, so he's going to lose time anyway. He's going to consign himself outside of the top 15, which means that Banky really needs to get by Julian Kunze to prevent Williams from actually pipping it at the last.
Oh, wow. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep some rough mental calculations ongoing. But this is the battle for P5 between Martin Stefanko, who we've been talking about, and Nakib Aslam. This is effectively a world championship. We've got the European racers, we've got the best in Southeast Asia, and they're battling on the Imola circuit. It's a fabulous finale.
Indeed, it's quite tight. Yes, the Drivers' Championship, we can just, safely say Banky has actually got this in the bag, but the Team's Championship is what we're really eyeing out for, because it's just a matter of a handful of points right now. Anything can change here as we look at further behind. Drive-through penalty for Lance Lau. Kalen Chin's going to get by Dan Finney with the DRS.
Kalen was so quick once again in qualification. He's had a fun season, but a very inconsistent one in terms of ultimate point scoring for Kalen Chin. He'll pick up points here once again. But it's probably I'm not sure, do you remember seasons like this and learn the lessons, or do you just cast them into the dustbin?
If it was really bad, yes, he will cast them away. But for Kalen, it's another learning season for him, because normally by season's end, he will actually just, have a good final flurry of races. But in this case, it has not happened.
Banky has dropped to P4. Nabil has taken him.
Oh, now that actually will put Williams again. Williams are firmly going to be favorites here to win the Team's Championship, unless Banky can do something about it. But he's further away from Keithley, and he can't catch up to Kunze. So right now he has to hope that either Stefanko and Keithley just fall off like flies to actually give Mumbai Falcons a shot.
We'll worry about that maybe with, I was going to say it, with about 10 minutes of the race to go, but we've got 11.5. Who's been in the pits? So they've left the pit stops very, very late.
Indeed, in fact, only about a quarter of the field have pitted, including the likes of Anton, who leads a field of drivers who have actually done so. Keithley then still hasn't, and he manages to negotiate some of the back markers already. So here we go then. Does he come in now? No, he's going to actually go beyond the 20th minute mark.
Wow. So he's trusting those tyres, the tyre where I'm sure I heard Alex say 4. 4 would have been a lot more fun than 2.
Yep, Times 2 looking really as if they can actually just push it now. Oh, what happened there to Kunze? Kunze's actually dropped to P6. Oh, in fact, he's in the pit lane, no wonder. He actually was the second of those white cars that came in. I thought it was actually Lance Lau, but yep, Lance has served his drive-through. Kunze's in the pit lane, and only now he's up on his jacks.
Which means that Mohamed Ibrahim comes into P16. He's got Ben Seek and Mohamed Zikri within catching distance. Ibrahim could come into 10 minutes to go. You know what? Ibrahim's good enough. I know he's got a pit stop to do, but he's good enough.
Oh, Ibrahim hasn't pitted yet, and Kunze's got a drive-through penalty. Ooh. So that might actually open up one position for Banky here to rescue a championship double for the Mumbai Falcons. That was not what Kunze wanted. There we go. Confirmation then of the drive-through penalty speeding in the pit lane.
Those calculations, they hurt my head, but the individual... Oh, who's that?
Keithley, it's Keithley. Keithley has actually dropped it coming out to the Varande Alta. And I did say just now, if Keithley or Stefanko could drop off like flies, it will help Banky. And guess what? His prayers have been answered. What has happened to Jack Keithley? It looks as though it's not a puncture. He just lost it on his own.
He's lost it. He cannot... You're looking at the end of Jack Keithley.
Oh, what happened there? He had his head in his head. So what happened here? Because that's not punctured. That's not telltale signs of a puncture. It looks as though he might have run out of fuel.
Well, he's desperately trying to communicate. He's desperately trying to make his way around the Imola circuit, but he is slowing down Surely he wouldn't.
is.
Oh,
It's-
my word.
It's fuel, Des. This is definitely fuel. And look, he's stuck just coming up to the pit lane. He's so agonizingly close. He's going to have to retire. We're going to have to move out of the way. We do not want to see a guy looking really... Oh, never mind, too late. We got a shot already.
Oh, dear. He is devastated, Jack Keithley.
And what that means is Banky is now in the lead.
Banky is the likely winner. And Keithley is out of the race. He cannot believe it. So Tasby's out, Perwin's out, Ardianta out, and Jack Keithley is out. And Mohamed Ibrahim is now in the points alongside Ben Spanky. So the team title changes.
Yep. And despite Ibrahim being 15th and a bit of a non-factor, we can just safely say Mumbai Falcons are now back in it. What looked like a 5-point advantage for Williams Esports because of them gaining so many positions, it has all evaporated after Keithley dropped it and ran out of fuel.
But Stefanko is in P3, and he's got the fastest lap.
Still not enough to overhaul in the team's title though, because remember, coming into it, it's just 18 points.
Gosh.
That's a dramatic turn of events, and I did not apply the commentators because unless you want to say it so.
Sums is not in my job description. I must have words with the people here. But Stefanko in P3. Jack Keithley, oh, remarkably, he stayed out too long. He stayed out too long.
Yeah, and then he just ran out of fuel there. And I didn't want to say I applied the commentators because there, but it might have looked as though because Banky needed that miracle, and the miracle just opened up for him. My word, this whole last round has really turned everything on its head, Des.
Banky, well, he's got 7.5 minutes to kind of just showboat his way through. Nabil Aslan will try to make it a difficult time for him, but he's got a second to make up on Ben Spanky. And Banky's on soft compound tyres, is confident. He knows that, well, he can even crash out because Keithley can't catch him.
Indeed, and Stefanko then just also conversely, whatever happened to them just now, he wants to wish that Banky happens to have the same thing as a car has gone off into the barriers there. It looks as though it might have been Zikri. Yep, it's Zikri in the collision. No, it's Ben Sieg. Ben Sieg has actually whacked the barriers there.
Well, Ben taking a tourist view of the circuit.
Going through the beautiful region of Emilia-Romagna. Not the kind of sightseeing tour you want to pay when you go to Europe.
Right, Nakib Aslan, he's come back into the reckoning. Now the brothers Grimm, as Alex Young so rudely called Nakib and Nabil, they are P2 and P4. And who says they can't finish on the podium at the same time? Because Nakib is coming around the side of Martin Stefanko, and Nakib is now up into P3. And the Williams stage just gets worse and worse and worse. But there is time for Stefanko to make his way back.
Indeed, in fact, that he had his finger on the battery button there to actually use a bit of it left to prevent an overtake, but it wasn't enough. Nakib manages to slink around the outside, and now the brothers are together second and third. They might try to work together here to break that particular jinx that they have of not finishing well together.
What about their famous rivalry? Ha! No, they'll work together.
No, they work together for sure. And plus the fact that there's nothing to gain from fighting each other because they're actually at different points of the championship table. So right now they just want to finish their season on a high, as Nabil's got some back markers to deal with, and that is one of the Apex cars. I'm not sure who it is. That might have been Ben Sieg. Right on the inside. Oh, that is quite close. That just compromised his exit.
And it means that Stefanko comes right back into reckoning as well as he goes past Ben Sieg as well. He's right on the tail of Nakib and Nabil, these M9 cars, same colours. Martin Stefanko of Williams Esports trying to end his season on a high note. It started in such rampaging style. I think we were worried that he'd run away with things, and Stefanko goes around the outside. Is he able to take a place? He's got past one. He's back into P3. And it's Nabil who drops down into P4.
Wow, Nabil might have actually felt like Ricardo Zonta in 2000 when Mika Häkkinen and Marcus Schumacher went around him. That was Stefanko and Nakib going around both sides of him. But now he's going to have a back seat here because Stefanko is trying to fight whatever's left of the season that he has to fight for.
Inigo Anton in P5, Russell Reyes in P6, Mihai Neg in 7. Mohamed Ibrahim's got himself up into the points, P15 for him, but let's just see if Ben Spanky is just going to, even if he crashes, he's won the title because Keithley is out. Yep. Keithley ran out of fuel.
And indeed, he could just actually disconnect now and still be fine, but he would love to end the season on a high and get a 4th win of the season. So he'll be the winningest driver this year, despite nobody really dominating at all, actually. It's impressive.
Winningest?
That's what I heard from American slang, so we can just use that. Thank you very much.
Banky, the driver with the most wins, leads. Coming into the final 4 minutes, sorry. He's having a whale of a time. He may be a little bit ill now. He's just got to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes. Russell Reyes, meantime, is moving in on the back of Mihai Neg. This has been a good performance by Reyes once again. He tries to get into double digits with points if he can get into P6. He utilizes the DRS, and Neg unable to really withdraw. And there he is, the Russell Reyes into P6.
And here's the battle for the lead. And Banky made a huge mistake coming out of, I think, through either Tosa or Villeneuve. Is now luring in Naqib Aslan into the battle, and Stefanko is also watching brief.
And a tail ender in front of them.
Now, if that was Lance Lau, he will try to move out of the way. Yes, he does. And luckily, bang on cue, nothing of the sort happens. Everything is just going swimmingly for him, isn't it? Every single opportunity has fallen onto his lap.
But he's still under a bit of pressure, and he made the mistake. Maybe a little bit of fatigue kicking in because he is carrying a bug.
Well, not sure what kind of illness is he carrying right now, but he is looking really lurid here. He just wants to get this race out of the way and just wins the championship. Hopefully he'll be a bit more spirited in interviews, but for the time being, he's still got a job to do. 2 laps here to hold on for his 4th win of the season.
We're on board with Stefanko. In front of him, he's got Naqib. Stefanko goes around the outside. Stefanko, 3 abreast, and Stefanko! Fabulous move to take the lead.
Wow, punches his way through, and because he had a draft from not only Naqib, but he also had a DRS, so that's how he made the maneuver stick. The car was almost at about 320 kilometers per hour on that front stretch, and now he can try to sail away here for a victory. Would it be great that he won? He actually ends the season the way he began, with a win.
That was a fabulous, fabulous maneuver. His last lap of 117.9. The fastest lap of the race belongs to Naqib Aslan of 117.7. So Stefanko will be chasing that. He and the first 4 racers are all on soft compound tires.
And let's not discount also Naqib. He also wants to actually get his 3rd win of the season. Despite not being a championship contender, he is actually in contention to have tied the most number of wins for the season.
1:31 to go. We will finish this lap and then have one more after that for Ben Spanky, the man in P3. Well, I'm sure he'd love to have a win, but I'm equally sure he'd much prefer to win the title.
Indeed. And the fact that he can also console himself with the fact that despite being ill, things have fallen his way today, which he will be laughing all the way to the bank for that one. The final lap of the season is here now, Des.
Stefanko has the lead. Now then, has Naqib Aslan, has he got enough in the tank? Jack Keithley didn't. Has Naqib got enough? He's got a DRS opportunity, but it's so difficult.
I tell you what, he might actually fancy his chances of drag racing him all the way to the line. And I've seen it before. Naqib has actually done in other championships that we've covered. DRS moves all the way to the line. This might be just another one here. It's as if everything is coming full circle right now, certain things, and it looks as though Naqib will try to actually spoil that particular storyline for Stefanko.
Stefanko, though, is doing his damnness to stay as far ahead as he possibly can. The differential just over half a second. Naqib really needs to be right on the tail end of Stefanko if he is going to get a dramatic late victory.
Yep, and unfortunately he only has 1 DRS remain, so he has to use it well on the start-finish straight. Stefanko on the battery button. You can see his right thumb using it. Oh, Naqib actually has run wide at the Rivazza. That's it. Stefanko's got it.
Stefanko will take the victory. A fabulous win for Williams, but the man who will get the overall championship is Ben Spanky. A subdued punch in the air for the champion, Ben Spanky of the Mumbai Falcons. He gets a podium to end the season. It was a tough day. He was made to wait for a full week because he thought he'd win the title last week. That was aborted. No mistakes this week, Amo.
Absolutely, and this time we can safely say, without any offering any enthusiastic counter-fibularities, he has absolutely won the championship.
He certainly has, no doubts about that. Whether or not the team championship goes to his team, we've still got to wait and see. 1 or 2 calculations to do about that. The race winner, Martin Stefanko, congratulations to him. He held off a great challenge from Nakib Aslam, and Ben Spanky coming in 3 ahead of Nabil. Good results for Inigo, Anton, Russell Reyes and Mihai Neg, who had his best performance of the season. More fun and games from Ben Seek and Lance Lau as the Apex team. Played their part in a very, very entertaining last race of the season at Imola.
Yeah, it was quite nervy. They made the highlight reel for sure, but let's not forget also the other championship we're fighting for. The team's championship is well and truly Mumbai Falcons.
Nakib takes fastest lap, so Stefanko ahead of Nakib, Banky in 3, Nabil 4, Inigo, Anton 5, and Russell Reyes, well done, in 6 ahead of Neg and Jim Wilton. They are your top 8. Out of the points, Jack Keithley, out of petrol, out of fuel, out of championship contention.
Thank you, Des and Amo, for calling what a finish to the season kind of race that was, Alex Young.
Wow, how exciting was that? We had a first lap pile-up, which really pretty much took the whole grid. I thought Jack Keithley was maybe going to pinch the championship at one point. He was winning by a long way, and then had that mechanical, we don't know, ran out of fuel or something, and the Stefanko coming through for the win, and Ben's just taking the championship.
We'll speak to Benson in just a moment, because I want to get a few words in from Martin Stefanko. Martin, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. Disappointment. I'm guessing that's what you're feeling right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing to finish second in the championship, but tell you what, coming from P14, getting caught up in the pile-up, luckily no damage, then I got rear-ended in the final chicane at the end of the first lap. I lost even more time, and come back to win is simply amazing. I think I already showed the pace in the sprint race there. I was stuck in traffic in the first half of the race, so it was also a good chance to win the race there, but yeah, just wasn't fortunate enough with the traffic and the timing. So I mean, people kind of call me a specialist, you know, coming from back of the grid. I always, no matter what happens on the first lap, I always get a good result. So wow, I did not expect to win. Obviously, like I said, I'm sorry for Jack. He took more fuel than me, but he ran out somehow. I had enough fuel to make it to the pit stop. He didn't, even though he took 2 liters more than me. I don't know what happened there. We'll have to look at it. Obviously, sorry for him, but yeah, happy for myself. You know, to come back like this and win the race it's an amazing way to finish off the championship, even though we didn't actually win the team's championship.
I gotta ask, I'm looking back at all the previous rounds. In the very first race, Sepang, top 2, Williams. It was you leading the pack, Martin Stefanko, second place was Jack Keithley. It looked like you guys were gonna cruise to victory. It didn't happen, and we've been trying to figure out why. What have you learned from this first season with the E1 Championship?
Well, one of the things that also happened, we were quite unlucky with penalties midway through the season, which cost us a lot of points. Without that, we would have won both the drivers and the team's championship, but that's racing. No championship goes perfectly for any team. You know, there's always ups and downs, and for us, we had a lot of downs in the middle of the championship, but I think we were the first team, and I felt like I was the first driver to really figure out how to drive the car, how to manage everything. That's why I was able to win races and be the fastest out there. But obviously, as season goes on, everybody starts to catch up, and it levels up the field, and it becomes a lot more difficult. Then I also had a lot of bad luck, like I mentioned, midway through the season. Didn't manage to win any races anymore until now. So yeah, in some parts we were unlucky, but I'm still happy to finish second. I think also in the Drivers' Championship, I'm not really sure, but yeah. To be fair, RaceRoom is not really my sim of choice. When I tried it out, I think last year, the GT3 Championship, the ADAC series, I was slow compared to everybody else, so I didn't expect much. I came into this championship thinking, okay, if I get consistent top 10 results, you know, I'm gonna be happy. And to get 3 wins and finish, I think, second in the championship in the teams and the drivers, it's something I didn't expect and something I'm proud of.
I mean, the racing was always exciting. Like you said, you always come from the back. Your race pace was quite special, I have to say. Great racecraft, and congratulations on a good year.
Yeah. One final question. Moving forward, projecting into the future, hopefully there'll be another E1 Championship. the starts, Williams as a whole, both of you and Jack at times seem to struggle at the beginning of races. Do you have any idea why? Because I asked this to Jack last week and he didn't have an answer. I'm just wondering if you do.
An answer, we tried out so many things, nothing seems to work. We changed some stuff for Brazil, improved the starts.
We're losing your audio a bit, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so no, we didn't figure it out. We were trying a lot of things. We changed some stuff for Brazil, which improved the starts a bit. At the beginning, we were losing a lot of positions here. At the end, it was only like 2 positions. But we still haven't figured out what the ideal start procedure is. So maybe, like I said, we tried out so many things. Maybe it's just something obvious that we're missing and we just can't figure it out. I don't know. But yeah, obviously that doesn't help in the races when you lose positions because it gets stuck in traffic and so on. So yeah, if we do another season with these cars, obviously it's something we'll have to look at because that's been our main weakness. So yeah, but I don't have an answer right now.
Okay. Martin, thank you for taking the time to speak to us, and congratulations on all you've achieved in the E1 Championship. We hope to see you again in the near future.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
All the best. Great talker. He really is a great talker, I have to say.
No, I mean, he's one of the best sim drivers in the world, hands down. You know, he does great in other platforms as well, RF2 as well. And he's a pleasure to watch. And yeah, he's been a great addition. Obviously a bit disappointed to win the not win the championship, but still gave us a lot to watch.
All right. Well, all the racing is done for the E1 Championship 2022. We have to crown some winners officially. That's next. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the E1 Championship 2022.
And we are off to a start. Jack Keatley gets the victory, punches the air in delight. Green lights get us up and running. Stefanko and Banky at the back. There is a collision. Great start, but he's bashed down now into P12.
Yeah, and you know what's double whammy there? Keatley spun it. Keatley has half spun it and into the crowd. Is a chaotic start to race 2 there.
Stefanko gets off to a slowish start, and Josh Perwin has made a move. Masvilton has also made a move, and there's more contact behind. Again, Mohamed Ibrahim as 2 racers go flying off on the outside.
They're now trying to get by in the second as Tasby. Oh, it's a hit! It's a big hit there. Tasby sent into the wall by Jack Keatley, and that is definitely going to be a stewards inquiry after this, Des.
So Mohamed Tasby for the 2nd race in a row loses really a big number of points. This is a terrific start as Kalen Chin has a big problem.
Oh, he just went onto the curb there, got launched into the air. And unfortunately for Kalen, he's lost a huge amount of positions.
6 positions indeed it was, and contact there as well on the back there of Martin Stefanko.
Oh, in fact, it's even worse for Kalen. He's done an Austin Powers. He's actually stuck it right there in the pit lane. No, that is so disastrous for the young Aussie Singaporean.
Axel is P13 at the moment, 10-year-old who's getting tons of support on our Facebook pages. Let's go on board with Axel. Sorry, fella, went on board exactly the wrong time.
And he took out Nabil as well for good measure, so that is actually a rather weird way to have a crash. Here comes Keatley on the inside. He has actually touched Ibrahim, and that is the most controversial moment of this season. Look, his front wing is gone, Des.
Stefanko, smooth start, but Masvilton is there behind them. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in all kinds of problems. And we are off to a start. Jack Keatley gets the victory, punches the air in delight.
for the final time this season. Welcome back to the E1 Championship 2022. This is the grand finale. All the racing is done, but there's still plenty more for us to get through. My name is Adam Carruthers, alongside the race director, Alex Young. Everything has been organized by Actual Sports, EGG and Astro, supported by the Motorsports Association of Malaysia, that's MAM for short, and also RaceRoom. We are live, by the way, on Arena, plus also on Suka. And what's really cool is we're also broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. So in order to find us, look up E1 Championship and share the link. You can catch up on previous races as well. We're broadcasting in Singapore via Mayo Sports 2, in Vietnam on VTV Cab, Thailand on True Gaming Up, and in Indonesia via TVRI Sport. I tell you what, one thing I've learned about the E1 Championship is nothing is predictable. The final race, the reverse grid, 30 minutes of non-stop drama. Here's a quick recap alongside Des and Amo.
The maths were simple. Jack Keighley had to get off to a good start, had to get a win, had to get the fastest lap, and then there were crashes on the very, very first couple of corners. Amo Haziq, this was the nightmare scenario for Bence Benke, because if he was caught up in that mayhem, his title dream was over. He escaped.
He escaped there with his life, and for the rest of the field, it was just absolute carnage just to get out of there. You cannot see anybody because the dust was being kicked up everywhere. And for Stefanko, he was just involved in the thick of that and still manages. Look at this, another accident, and he still managed to win amazingly.
Gosh, you forget that Stefanko was involved in that mayhem. Got himself up into P4, and then Jack Keighley, who was in the lead, spins out and runs out of petrol. Unbelievable. So Stefanko then has to take the Williams gauntlet. He has a battle royale with the Aslan brothers, gets ahead of them, gets ahead of Bence Benke. So Stefanko's a great story in its own right. This is him taking the lead.
This was probably the move of the season because it was a three-way battle for the lead, and the last of the late breakers, Stefanko, just went around the outside of both of them to take a well-deserved win, and it probably was one of the most chaotic wins of the season.
Certainly was. He would be able to hold on. Naqib Aslan made a mistake as he tried to close in on the final lap. So Martin Stefanko would go and take the victory for Williams Esports, but his teammate missed a great opportunity to help them take the team title. It was Benke in P3, and that will be enough. We've got to confirm, we've got to do all the mathematics, but here's today's race 2 final result. Stefanko taking Naqib fastest lap as well as a P2. Bence Benke for Mumbai Falcons to wrap up the title. Nabil Aslan in P4 ahead of Inigo Anton and Russell Reyes. Good day for the Philippines. Mihai Nega P7, Masvilton Kunze and Dan Finney completing the top 10.
And yep, what that has done for the overall result for this particular race is that Naqib amazingly was the big winner in this particular round. 1 point ahead of Stefanko, and both of them shared the fastest lap each. But crucially though, behind both of them, Bence Benke was just sneaking in the points and being consistent. 2 third places in a row is actually what he needed, and he did so in fine style.
That's a really good round for Team Flash. They've picked up, 50 points between the two of them. Well done, Team Flash.
Thanks to Des and Amo. And here's something I've never asked you. I really should have. Drive of the day. Naqib for me.
Yeah, Naqib also got involved in that first lap accident with Stefanko. Both of them had to come to the field. Yeah, I would say Naqib, his race 1 was very good, his race 2 was very good as well, yeah. I would agree with that.
Wow, you actually agree with me. That makes it a little bit special. Now I feel all honored and entitled. And it's funny how things have come almost full circle. Looking at round 1, Sepang, very close to home for us here in Malaysia. Martin Stefanko winning the reverse race, the 30-minute race. And here he is winning the final one of the season as well. It's just everything in between.
Yeah, and Stefanko, yes, lost a lot of points in the middle of the season. He had this couple drive-throughs from speeding the pit lane. One in Donington was definitely his fault. Pressed the pit limiter at the wrong line. But Bence, he was really good as well, wasn't he? When he needed to do the results, he did. And even here, the last race, he finished 3rd. But you could feel maybe if the championship was on the line, he had to win that race. Could he have found something? You I get the feeling that Benz maybe could have.
We will speak to Benz later on, I can guarantee that. But just thinking back to what Martin said in his interview, that a lot of things they were unlucky, the penalties, how much of it was actually their fault? Because it's one thing to face penalties, it's another thing when it is your fault.
So the penalties with RaceRoom, and then all the teams learn that you can get done for speed in the pit lane really easily. You have to watch. It varies a bit from track to track. Like if you're downhill, you get too much wheel spin on the way out the box, you'll pick up a penalty because it will go above just by a tiny bit. But it's the same for everyone. Yeah, so everyone needs to learn where those parameters are, where those limits are. So you could say it's a bit unlucky, but it's still the same for everyone, and you need to know where the parameters are. A bit like, gosh, I do feel for Jack Kifley, you know, running out of fuel in that final race. That cost him not just the team's championship, but it cost him positions in the driver championship as well. But still, you need to know how much fuel's on the car.
Yeah.
You've got to be on top of these things. So just a couple careless, bit of luck, bit of carelessness, I think cost Williams those 2 championships.
Racing strategy, I brought it up just simply because Martin said if they didn't face those penalties, they would have won both titles, but he still committed to penalties.
Well, he still committed the penalties, and we don't know, you know. At the end of Benz, I think we'll see in a while, but I think the Drivers' Championship was quite comfortable in the end.
Yeah.
And yes, I think definitely the Team's Championship would have cost them, you know. Jack running out of fuel definitely cost them the Team's Championship today.
All right, enough waffling on from us. We really need to crack on and get to the business end of things. Before we do so, how do we get to where we are now? This is the final stretch of the E1 Championship 2022.
He takes the inside line. Reyes on the inside. Stefanko is able to hold on, and Martin Stefanko for Williams Esports will take the victory.
It's our main goal to close the gap to them in the championship and to ultimately win the championship.
Time has run out, and it's going to be Keatley who takes it.
If we keep this going, we're going to be in a good position for the final event.
Wish us full onwards and upwards first for next time.
Absolutely.
Nabil Aslan just has to negotiate the final corner, and Nabil, he's grinning from ear to ear. Woo, he says. Woo, he say.
I mean, you could see it. Obviously, Sem 9 had really great pace today.
Nakib Aslan for Sem 9 takes the victory. He enjoys it.
I miss this feeling so much.
Ben Spanky will take back-to-back victories.
Once you get a taste of victory, you can't get enough of it.
Honestly, do you expect them to be in this position so high up?
We knew Williams would be strong, but Mumbai Falcons actually have exceeded our expectation.
If Ben Spanky can't win, then Mohammed Ibrahim can. That's the story for them.
Without Mumbai Falcons, I wouldn't be in this championship. As long as Mumbai Falcon wins the championship overall, that's the most important thing.
Just some of the highlights, and there have been plenty throughout the course of the entire season. I'm going to ask this to you, then I'm going to ask Ammo. In the little video montage, you just said that Mumbai Falcons exceeded expectations. But which team, and you can say Mumbai Falcons, have been the surprise package this season?
Yeah, Mumbai Falcons for sure. You know,
but even with their drivers, they're still a surprise package.
Yes, because they are a real-life team. You know, they okay. Ibrahim and Bianchi are obviously very experienced on their own, but still coming together, working together for the first time. Luckily, they had that synergy straight away from round 1, and they were able to build on that. You know, so you know they're a top team in real life. You know, they're the reigning Formula Regional Asia champions with Arthur Leclerc, Charles Leclerc's brother. So you know that they are a good real life team, but this is their first foray into sim racing of this level.
Yeah.
You know, and they're up against really good teams. Williams Esports, you've got previous champions like Team Flash and Sem 9 with Nakib Aslan. So it wasn't an easy field, you know, and fantastic for them to do what they did.
Okay, I did promise that we'll get Ammo's say on this, but sadly we don't have time. We're going to push on and get through some of the results. Des and Ammo, guide us here.
Guidance is forthcoming. What we've got in the championship, we're going to go 10 through 1. We're at number 10, Inigo Anton, 95 points. Great effort by the Filipino.
And Russell Reyes, his countryman, has had some flash of brilliance, and he had his best finish in Sepang in second place, but throughout the season. He just struggled a bit, just came good towards the end. It's P9 for him.
Gives a lot of highlights to Kalen Chin from Black Arch Racing, 126 points.
P7, Nabe Aslan with a breakout season, we can safely say. A win at Silverstone will be his highlight. P7, a well-deserved position for him.
And we can safely say Mohammed Tasby did Team Flash absolutely proud. 2 victories this season, and he topped 150 points. That leads us to the top 5. At 5, Amo.
It's Muhammad Ibrahim, who will be a bit disappointed being outgoing champion to be outside that top 5, but he did give it with all his might on his so-called least favorite platform, but he still finished the season decently well, especially in the mid-part.
Last season's champion. At 4, Jack Keithley, who, well, he ran out of petrol, ran out of steam, but a fabulous debut season. Just look at that consistency of points. 177 overall for Jack Keithley from Williams Esports.
And then P3, amazingly, we're gonna have Nakib Aslan, and he won it because of countback on Jack Keithley, would you believe it? So he had an outside chance of being in that top 3, but because of Keithley's misfortune in the final race, he actually got up to the second runner-up spot. Unbelievable scenes here.
So that's 10 through 3. The top 2 to be revealed shortly.
Thank you very much for that. Guidance was needed with so many points, but Nakib Aslan, second runner-up, on video call with us right now. You look surprised by that unveiling.
Oh yeah, 100% I'm surprised. I mean, coming into this round, I was, you know, hyping myself up saying, I've got an outside chance of a top 3 here. Obviously, I didn't really play that in my mind so much because I knew it was really unlikely. But it was a fixed setup round. I knew that we had a chance because it's all about driving after that. I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't come away with a victory in both race 1 and race 2, but I'm really, ecstatic over that result over the top 3 in the championship.
Well, top 3 gets one of these.
Yeah.
And you got to talk us through that second race, because that looked like a really, I mean, both you and Stefanko got mixed up in that first lap crash, but you both had a really good battle the last few laps. Was there anything you learned in those last few laps?
So yeah, I think obviously in race 2 we saw that we had that big pileup, and actually I managed to build a gap on Stefanko. I think he was saving his tires or maybe something else, but I managed to build a gap, and there's that one small mistake that I made, that Piratella lost me around 4 seconds, which basically costed me the win. But that last few laps were really interesting. I think it was all about fine details with these guys, and Stefanko is known to be one of the best out there. So there was a lot of knowledge to be gained. I think it was just keeping it tidy everywhere. There was not one point where he went off track, and that's the key point there. It's driving to the limits but not over the limits. As you saw, I went over the limits coming into the second to last corner. I broke myself a bit, but I knew it was going to be difficult anyways. Kudos to him for winning the race, but yeah, I think overall still really happy for the individual championship, although that kind of puts a sour taste, because had we had a clean championship this whole season, I think we would have been up there for the championship title.
Okay, Nakib Aslan, thank you. Congratulations to you, and I'm just going to be wondering if you're going to display this in front of your brother within eyesight of him anyway. Congratulations once again, okay?
Well done.
Thank you so much.
There we have it.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I wasn't thinking P3. But yes, of course, with Jack having that running out of fuel, that opened the door for him. And he did have a strong finish of the year, 2 wins, and he finished today with 2 second places. So well done to Nakib.
Yeah, the other question is, does it affect the team championships? We'll reveal that later on, because Jack was unable to score points at the end. Well, let's kick on with the individual standings. Back to Des and Amo.
The top 2, Martin Stefanko for Williams Esports, 198 points, ended the season with a victory, but that leaves Amo Hazik, our champion.
Ben Spanky, a very consistent run of results for the first 3 runs of the season. He stepped up in round 4, he had a drop run in round 5, but then he just played it safe for those final 2 rounds, and guess what? It paid dividend. He won the championship quite emphatically by virtue of consistency, Des.
21 points the differential between Ben Spanky and Martin Stefanko. Europe tops Asia.
Thanks there, Des and Amo. Martin, back on the video call with you. How do you view your season overall, individually, not so much as a team, but just for yourself?
Pretty good. I think, you know, it's, yeah, not bad. I think I didn't expect to be in this position by the end of the championship. Obviously, we lost points, like I've mentioned before, but you know, nevertheless, I think I did the best I could in the situations that were given to us. And personally, I am really happy to finish second in the championship. Yeah, just yeah, ecstatic, especially with the way I did it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, starting with a win, ending with the win. I wanted to ask this earlier, but now that a little bit of time has passed, have you spoken to Jack since the race?
We spoke briefly. I mean, we didn't speak too much because I think for us it's better at this point to just leave it be and come back to it in 1 or 2 days when heads are cooler a little bit, so we can talk about it. But yeah, we mentioned it briefly. We still don't know what happened. Jack apparently took 2 liters more than me, but ran out, and I had 1 liter left when I came into the pit stop. So I don't know how I could have had 4 liter better fuel consumption over 15 laps. It's yeah, totally beyond me. I don't know why, but yeah.
Okay, Martin, congratulations once again on your success. Hopefully we'll be seeing you again next season.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
That is interesting what he said there. I had to ask about Jack because he dropped a position. We
Well,
saw the standings.
You want to talk to drivers afterwards, but trust me, drivers don't want to talk to you afterwards.
Unless they win.
Unless they win, and Jack will be feeling that. He'll be thinking about this for quite a few months, I think.
Yeah, okay. Well, we do have the winner of the entire championship. Ben Spanky, are you there, sir?
Yes, hello, I'm here.
Congratulations. How are you feeling? Because we know that you said you're feeling a bit sick, under the weather. I'm not sure if it's just a flu. I do hope you're okay. But does the adrenaline help?
Well, it's most certainly helped. I was focusing on the race, you know, and I didn't have any time to think about the illness I may have. You know, I'm overjoyed, really. I had a very good quali as we discussed it, and also in the race, or maybe stamina was a problem, especially in race 2. You know, I felt a bit out of breath by the end, but otherwise I just played it safe. I think I had solid pace, so I'm very happy to win the championship.
Ultimately, you're the most consistent driver. That's why we're talking to you as the overall winner. What was the secret to success here?
Preparation and teamwork. Definitely, we had to be extremely diligent with Muhammad. He has been a fantastic teammate. We have been very precise and strict in our preparation. And then, you know, you have to have an overview. So just, you know, I didn't really take many risks. If you take a look at back at the season, I was involved in basically no accident. I was never reported. I just stayed out of trouble, and that enabled me to win the championship, I think.
Interesting. The safety aspect, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how you build championships, especially when you go reverse grids. Congratulations. I know you're not feeling on top of the world right now, but I could see your reaction, the relief you had in winning the championship, because obviously it was tough, you know, having the delayed round as well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, you want to give a shout out to your team, because I'm thinking your strategies, generally speaking, were pretty much on point. Yeah. Questionable to some of the other teams, and I'm sure that goes just beyond you. Also, of course, to the rest of the team.
Yes, of course. As I said, Muhammad has been a fantastic teammate. We were discussing strategy all the time before every round, really. He was there. I could rely on him. And I also would like to thank Mumbai Falcons for providing me this opportunity to represent them and to be here with you.
Okay, Vince, thank you so much, and congratulations once again to you, sir.
Thank you.
Well done.
Was going to say, how are you going to celebrate? But judging by how he looks, sitting in a dark room, he's probably just going to sleep after this.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a busy few weeks. He was also at the FIA Motorsport Games representing Slovakia. You know, he's a top driver, and now he's been rewarded with this. You know, I'm sure he's going to go celebrate just maybe perhaps not tonight while he gets over his sickness.
Okay, well, I mentioned earlier, with Jack Keithley not finishing the second race, the sprint race, how does it affect the team championships? Let's pass it back to Des and Amo for the final standings.
Well, we'll leave that to the very end to tell you what it affects. Well, you can see on the graphic, sadly. But Apex Racing, 11th out of the 11 teams. Ben Seek and Landslau, we saw them with evasive action in the last race of the season. 18 points for them.
You had to duck out of the way of that one. Likewise for Team EGG in 10th. They were in the wars in some areas, but luckily for them, the drivers that they had prevented them from getting the wooden spoon.
TX3, just 71 points. Mihai Neg, though, he gave us some highlights in that lime green machine.
Team Safe House will be rather disappointed because normally they'll be at the sharp end, but now they're at the bottom fringes of the top 10. They'll be looking forward to actually getting more points and better positions next season. Apex Racing Academy from Brunei. The injured Mohammed Zikri did well to finish the race. Julian Kunte did really well to have a podium earlier on this season. Blackhouse Racing, likewise, just like Safe House, will be rather disappointed with their results, given the fact that they were in P2 last season, but they will have to consign themselves to P6 for this one. My hidden team of the season, JMX Phantom from Indonesia, Daffy Ardianta and Russell Reyes, accumulating 218 points. Good effort, fellas. And for Team Flash, a very good effort as well. The second best of the rest behind Sam9 with Inigo Anton, and before this it was Jin Masvilton alongside Mohamed Tasbih, accruing almost 250 points. Nakib and Nabil Aslan, two very, very capable brothers for the Sem9 team out of Malaysia, accumulating 325 points and didn't have a lot of luck this season. Indeed, it would have actually been right closer up there if they did. And P2 likewise, the final round proving to be the most painful round for the Williams Esports team. At one point they were actually in the championship bubble, but then that bubble burst and they had to drop back to second. Poor old Jack Keithley, the emotion clear for all to see. That means the champions by 10 points. Mumbai Falcons, last season's individual champion Mohammed Ibrahim, pairing with this season's individual champion Ben Spanky. Many congratulations to Mumbai Falcons, the team champions of the E1 Championship 2022.
We do have them both on the line and by just 10 points. It might have been different if Jack Keithley had finished his race to get points on the board and it wasn't to be. Mumbai Falcons are your champions for the entire season as well. Bence, we just spoke to you, so I want to get some thoughts from Mohammed Ibrahim. Overall, at what point during the season did you think you're going to have to play more of a support role to Bence for the team and for him in his push to be the overall champion?
To be honest, we both, I never it was never a support role, but I just wanted to make sure the team had to win. So it was never a support role, like I was going to play a second fiddle basically to Bence. It was just, we were just working together to get as many points as possible. That's it. That's about it.
Even heading into the final round today?
Yes, even heading to the final round today.
Okay, interesting. And in terms of your relationship, how does the strategy work? How early are you both preparing for each race day, each track, each country that we visit? Bence, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So most of the time we had only 1 week between races, and I think we had 2 days off after the race. So, but on Friday we usually started with preparation for the next round already.
Interesting. I think Amo has a question for you as well.
Yes, for Bence, has the feeling sunk in yet of winning the championship? Not only for
could you repeat that?
So, sorry, to repeat. Has the feeling sunk in yet for you to not only win the Drivers' Championship, but also for the Team's Championship?
Yeah, yes, it's a fantastic feeling because I think maybe Muhammad had some bad luck, you know, and I think he would have deserved better than 4th in the individual championship. And I see the team title as sort of like a reward for both of us, you know, because it was a team effort.
Okay, Des.
This is Des Corkle, one of the commentators. Ibrahim, I love your combative style. I was delighted with your answer saying you don't play second fiddle. How scary was it on the last race when you got caught up in traffic and were struggling for points? What were your thoughts of the last race of the season?
Yeah, it was a pretty awful race, to be honest. I've been taken out by so many people, you know, by Jack Keithley. I got taken out 3 times by Jack. And then today I got taken out by Julian, so it has just been an awful season because if you lose race 1, you lose race 2 as well because you start at the back again. So it has just been a lot of bad luck.
But you've accumulated points galore, both of you. Consistency in the end has been the key. And congratulations, it's been a pleasure and real fun commentating on you.
Congratulations to the two of you, and hopefully you'll be equally as competitive next season for the E1 Championship. Benz and Mohammed, Ibrahim, enjoy your celebrations. You've earned it, to say the least. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks guys. Bye.
He wasn't a support role heading into the. I don't believe it.
No, he wasn't. He was pushing as much as he can. Yeah, absolutely. Just got a bit unlucky, I think. It's so funny. They won the team's championship. One of them's looking a bit sick, and the other one's obviously disappointed because race 2 did not go his way. But they are the champions, so congratulations to Mumbai Falcons.
Yes, and of course to Ben Spanky for winning the individual title as well. Sadly, the season has now come to a close. So I want to give a big thank you, of course, to our commentators holding onto the trophy.
This is the team's trophy.
The team's trophy. Don't try and steal it, okay?
It's heavy.
That belongs to somebody else. 2 other guys right now. Des Korkhill and Amir Hazik, also known as Ammo. I want to give thanks, of course, to the racing director who's worked at me on occasion only. The race director has a lot of work to do, I can promise you that. And of course, to all of the drivers, congratulations for taking part, and our thanks to you. And most importantly, thank you for watching wherever you are in the world, be it on YouTube and Facebook, on one of the multiple channels that we are on as well. My name is Adam Carruthers. We hope you've enjoyed the season as much as we have. Till next time.
Bye-bye.